Okay. Okay, we're streaming the new DLC again, and I'm gonna have my guide on the Acid Lab. It's gonna be coming out tonight, so my ultimate money guide on the Acid Lab will be coming out tonight. So I hope that helps people out. It'll be coming out probably a few hours after the stream, but it's gonna be out tonight, late at night my time. So it's same time around I put out the Acid Lab, like mobile Acid Lab review will be yes. Okay. Let me put this on Twitter here. Okay. Okay, I hope everyone's having a great, hope everyone's having a great, day, great weekend. Okay, let me see here, let me just set up my phone here. Okay, here we go. Okay, okay, let's see here. Okay, we're all set. Okay, everything's good. Okay, let's help out. Hello, Mario. Hey, Mark. Hey, Hash. Hey, Chaz. Hey, Drift. Hey, Frosty9. Ashley. Hey, guys. Hey, yeah, so looks like this DLC is going to be a lot bigger than people thought it was going to be, because it's going to have a lot of drip feed content to it, and I still got a lot of GT Online videos coming out. Like, I got the Ultimate Hanger Guide coming out, that's coming out. I have the Cayo Perico updated 2023 guide coming out. I never really made a Cayo Perico guide when it came out. I did the approaches, but it'll be good to make a new guide now, because of just the fact that, you know, the NPCs are different now. Whoa. Oh, okay.
It's sailed.
Hello, Pro. How long will your guide will be for GTA? And hope you have a good stream. How long will your... Well, the guide, I'm finishing it up, but it's gonna be probably over 20 minutes long, the Acid Lab. But what I'll say about it, the reason that my ultimate Acid Lab money guide is gonna be like 20 minutes long, the reason it's gonna be that long, is because I'm focusing on the cell missions also, and I'm explaining how to get tips on the cell missions and what to do on each cell mission, because there's a lot of things that I've noticed people aren't covering and people aren't talking about. There's some hidden things with the Acid Lab, and so whenever like a new update comes out, the reason that I typically put stuff out, you know, later is because I want to test things out. I don't want to rush things. You know, it takes me, you know, a few days to do stuff. I don't just like to, you know, I don't like to get things out on day one. The only time you'll really see me get something out on day one on a GT Online update is when there's like a story DLC. When there's like a story DLC, you'll see me get the story DLC out on day one. I almost always do that. I complete the story, whatever, the missions on day one. But when it comes to like a guide or something, that usually takes me a few days. It's not something that I put out in a day or two. Yeah, that's why. So I'm gonna have a guide on the Dax missions, the Dax Fooligan missions. I have a guide on that in my Acid Lab money guide, and I have a guide on the cell missions. I have guides on that. I also have guides on what to do if you get attacked by griefers. So I talk about that also, how to avoid griefers in public sessions on the sales. So, you know, the guide is going to be basically like a complete, you know, Acid Lab money guide. So I hope it helps people out. I'm going to have timestamps and everything down below. Check out later tonight. You know, when I finish the live stream, it'll be up. So it'll be up, like, I'd say, like, you know, midnight, 1, 2 a.m., around that time, Eastern U.S. time. So, you know, that'll be a late my time. That's around when the Acid Lab guide will be out. Here, but thank you, It's Hand, for that super chat. Thank you, Avery. Hey, Pro, can you play Uncharted 1, 2, 3, 4, before the end of the year, at least during the new year? I'm not gonna make it to that, Avery. I have, like, a lot of other projects that I'm working on at the moment, and I gotta finish up. I'm doing, Godfather 2, so I wanna Godfather 2 has 2 parts left, so I wanna finish Godfather 2, and I wanna finish, so Godfather 2 and the Saboteur, and then after Godfather 2 and the Saboteur is done, we're gonna be doing 2 other playthroughs, both World War II games. One of the playthroughs is going to start right after I finish Godfather 2, so Saboteur will still be going. But we're going to be doing the Sniper Elite 5 DLC storyline, because there's a DLC storyline, there's 2 missions, which take place after the main story. So we're going to do that. We're also going to do Medal of Honor Rising Sun. Anybody know Medal of Honor Rising Sun? You know, the old, you know, World War II game. It's, you know, that one is where you fight the Japanese in that one. So it's in the Pacific Theater. So, you know, I'm doing a bunch of World War II games this December as playthroughs, and I thought, you know what, I'm doing 2 games in France, you know, Saboteur and, like, and Sniper Elite 5, and I figured, you know, I might as well do a Pacific game as well, you know, so I'm doing, you know, 2 games set in France and 1 in the Pacific, and, you know, that'll be, fun. So Rising Sun will be, you know, we'll be doing, next. Hey Pro, I bought Sniper Elite V2 on PS4. Does it include the DLC on the remaster? I'm on the middlework section. It looks amazing. Yes, Sniper Elite V2 remaster includes all DLC. Thank you, Justin, for that super chat. Also, here's a fun fact for people. The main bad guy, General Shima, he's the main antagonist in Rising Sun, the evil Japanese general. He's voiced by the same guy who voices Uncle Iroh in Avatar. So if anybody's seen Avatar, the same guy who voices Uncle Iroh voices like the main antagonist in Rising Sun. Here. Hey Professional, I've been enjoying the open World War II game you've been playing and the Godfather 2 game. Thank you, Mitchell. And I'm happy I was able to introduce Saboteur to, like, you know, a whole new generation of gamers who've never, like, seen the Saboteur. Saboteur is like one of the best, you know, open world games ever made. Such a great game. Hello Pro, how are you? Hope you're doing good. I would like to ask, the GTA DLC is enough to bring back the player who left the game, including me? Well, I'll say it this way. I don't know when you left, Push, but literally, the, oh, hey, what's up, man? Well, what I'll say is that, the last DLC that came out, Criminal Enterprises, that's what got me back into GTA Online. Because before that, I was covering the updates when they were coming out, but I wasn't really that much into GTA Online, but, like, now I play GTA Online regularly. Like, I play, like, every week, a few days, and I stopped playing it for nearly a year. And the reason I stopped playing it for nearly a year, because I got so burnt out from the game. I know a lot of people were complaining about me not doing as much GTA Online content, but what they didn't understand is that I just was burnt out from the game. I just didn't feel like playing it, and so I'm that type of person that if I don't feel like doing something, I'm not gonna do it. And so it's just like, even if I would get views, a lot of views, not necessarily gonna do it. I'm only gonna do a video when I really feel like doing it, when I'm passionate about it, even if the video would bring me a lot of views. So that's what you know, my position was on GTA Online. And so what got me back into GTA Online and actually made me happy to play it again was Criminal Enterprises, the last one, before this, the summer one. And it was primarily because that update added new stuff to each business. So, like, you know, if this update came out last summer, I wouldn't have gotten back into GTA Online as much. But Criminal Enterprises did it for me, because instead of adding a new business, what they did was they added new stuff to everything. Nightclub, MC, you know, CEO crates. And I personally think that was a step in the right direction, because people grind these businesses so much. I have, and now you've added a little bit something to each business. Plus, it was, you know, what the real, you know, deal maker for me was that you could sell in invite-only sessions and friends-only sessions. And, you know, that for me, like, gives me complete peace of mind. And so, you know, now I don't have to deal with any, you know, toxic behavior or any of that stuff. So, like, you know, in the time that I've played, like, you know, GTA Online, like, I've done streams since August. So I've been doing streams every Sunday. I do a stream on GTA Online for 4 months. And in that 4 months period, I have not gotten griefed once in a friends-only session stream. Not once. I did get killed once by a griefer on the stream, but that was not even in a friends session. It was because we were doing a heist and then one person left. It put me into an invite-only session, and a griefer glitched into the invite-only session and killed me. But if you play a friends-only session, they can't glitch into that and kill you. So, you know, friends-only sessions are perfectly safe, and so, you know, yeah, people that are friendly with me, people that I like, and, you know, I don't have to worry about somebody constantly joining. I think eventually I probably am going to get griefed. Eventually it's going to happen, but when it does happen, it's going to be somebody on my friends list, and, you know, and then I'll just remove them. So that's what I think. Ultimately, I think it's eventually going to happen, but it's just so rare. So it's just, you know, anybody who's on my friends list can just join me, and, you know, we haven't had any incidents, and it's been chill, and it's been fun, and, you know, and anybody who has, like, you know, anybody who's watched my old live streams, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know how toxic it got. It got really toxic, and it was just, you know, I was never a toxic person. I'm a very chill guy. But what I mean is that it was getting toxic was you had the idiots who just constantly kept joining. Like, you had people that were so desperate to join me, like they were just joining every session, not to play with me, but just kill me. Like, I don't mind, anybody can play with me. You don't even have to subscribe to me to play with me. But the only thing that I ask is that, you know, you just don't grief and don't be toxic. Those are the only two things that I ask. But I used to have so many people, they were just obsessed with going after me, and they just wanted, you know, just to kill me over and over again for their 2 minutes of fame on YouTube. Oh, look, I made a video, I killed a professional, blah, 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 I'm cool. So that's, you know, ultimately what it was about, and it was just getting annoying, and it was getting ridiculous. And I had gotten some really toxic messages on stream, like, 1-0, you got owned, blah, blah, blah. It was just, it was really annoying. And it was just, you know, it got me kind of stressed out, because I could never play in a normal, like, I could never play in, like, a normal session, because every single time I streamed, I was getting, like, really paranoid. And the reason that I was getting, like, really paranoid is because I would have to constantly, like, check who's in the lobby. Like, I would have to check the players, like, every minute. Like, every minute, I would have to check the players, I'd pause the game, see who's loading in, and the reason I had to constantly do that was because people were constantly trying to join my session. They were constantly trying to join my session, and they were getting, and they were just trying to orbital cannon me. They would just teleport right in the facility, and they would orbital cannon me. And normally, I don't care if I get orbital cannoned. You know, I just get blown up. But, you know, what was really annoying me was I was trying to help people sell their businesses. And so when I was trying to help people sell their businesses, I would be driving like a business vehicle, and then I'd get orbital cannon, and the person would lose their stuff. And I felt really bad. I felt bad that people were getting their stuff blown up because I was getting targeted. And so that's ultimately, like, that's not the main reason I took a break from GTA Online. The main reason was I just got burnt out from the game. But that was a huge chunk of it. It was just the endless griefing, the toxicity, people constantly harassing me. And I said, you know what, you know, I'm going to play other games and just, you know, take a break and just chill, because I need to chill at this point. And so that's ultimately why I took a break from GTA Online. But now that I can play in invite-only sessions and friend sessions, and I don't have to worry about idiots joining me and, like, harassing me and killing me over and over again and being toxic, you know, I can just chill with you guys, you know, do a stream, help people sell their businesses, talk to you guys, and I can read the chat more actively. I can read more comments, because I don't have to worry about, like, you know, I don't have to constantly check the players and worry about somebody's going to join to kill me. So that's what. So I know it's a long answer about what, you know, why I got back into GTA Online, but that was, you know, that was pretty much it. It was that, you know, there's a bunch of factors, but it was, you know, that update, you know, that it added new stuff, new variety to do. It added the two things that I wanted: Criminal Enterprises. People say Criminal Enterprises sucked, but I think Criminal Enterprises was a great DLC, because it added more stuff to the existing businesses, which it needed it, and it allowed us to finally sell in, you know, invite-only friend sessions. And I think that's ultimately, I think Criminal Enterprise is the most underrated update that was ever released. Looking forward to Medal of Honor Rising Sun Walkthrough. Also, when is the Stroke the Jellyfish, the Stroke the Piranha coming out? They actually released Stroke the Cow recently. I'm not joking. It's a new game. They just released it, Stroke the Cow. So, Stroke the hedgehog, they have Stroke the dog, Stroke the cat, Stroke the snake, Stroke the tarantula. They actually have these games, and they're $3 each. They're like scam games almost. Like, you get a free platinum from them, so you do get something. But it's like, I don't know how these games get approved on the PlayStation Store. I don't know what Sony is, like, you know, doing. I'm not joking. I'm not joking, Nicholas. For anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, I made a video 2 weeks ago that blew up. Like, it got really popular in views, and it was like a crazy current events video. And look up the video on my channel. Just type in scam. When you type in scam, it'll probably come up, but the title of the video is this game a scam? That was the title of my video. I made a video in which I investigated this game, and I was testing it to see if it was a scam or not. And, like, people were, you know, the video got really popular, people really liked the video, but they were laughing so much because all the video basically is it's a $3 game, and there's multiple games. Stroke the rabbit, Stroke the tarantula, Stroke the cow, Stroke the snake. Each game is $3, and when you buy the game, all basically that happens is you load up to a picture of the animal. So I purchased Stroke the rabbit. It loads up a picture of the rabbit, and all you basically do is press X. That's all you do. There's nothing else. No animations, nothing. It's a picture of a rabbit, and you just press X, and you get a platinum trophy in like less than 10 minutes. And that's like a real game on the, on it. I watched some of the old streams before. I remember there was one where you dodged an orb because you drove under a bridge and one with the orb struck. Yeah. Yeah, that was, I remember a lot of those. I don't know if I remember that incident, but there was a lot of those incidents. They happened a lot, Mario. Surely you're joking. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Go on my channel and look up the video on my channel. Is this game a scam? Just type that into my channel. Is this game a scam? I made a video on it, on investigating the stroke games, and like it was just, you know, that was just it's a real game. You can look it up. It's not a troll. You can look it up on the PlayStation Store. It's you know that. Well, that would be really stupid, and I'll probably sue Alex. Have you tried air freight since the buff? Is it worth trying again? For anybody that's wondering about hanger, I'm gonna have an ultimate hanger guide coming out. I have to test it first. I have a strategy. I have a strategy that I have planned, and I have to test it to see whether it works or not. And it's something that nobody else is really doing, so nobody else is doing it. So it's not something that I don't think you've seen before. But it's a specific strategy that I want to test with the missions. And if I get the strategy right, there's potential to make millions of dollars a day with the hanger, but I have to test it, and I have to make sure all my calculations are right, and then once I do, I will, upload the guide. And also, when I upload the hanger guide, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload, like, gameplay footage. Like, it's gonna be, like a few hours of me just playing, you know, hanger, but that's gonna be an unlisted video, but I'll link it in the guide, and that'll be just proof that I, you know, got everything in the time that I said I did. So it'll be, Oh, no. Didn't see until the last moment. Okay, ooh. There's a quick save right there, okay. That was close. Oh, we saved it. That would have been bad. Hey, Trio. Use the same car that my character uses. Love that Stafford. There's a car coming in the drift feed that's similar to it. Yeah, the Stafford is Tony Montana's car from Scarface. That's ultimately what it's about. I wish the game would rain at night. I wish it would. Are you streaming Saturday? I don't know. Maybe. I'll see. I'm doing good, Mr. Weifu. Yeah, the new acid business is definitely worth it. Yeah, I know. I was wondering whether you and GB could actually help me with that hanger guide when you guys have the time, Riley. Because I wanted to test a few things with a few players in that. Stafford in the Scarface game is the ambassador, yeah, and he drives it in the movie too. Can you play For Honor campaign mode? It's pretty good and has a good villain. Maybe. I didn't, I'll tell you something. Maybe if I play the single player, I'll enjoy it, but I'll tell you something. I played the online, and I didn't enjoy For Honor's online. Probably like, what is today? Today's Sunday, right? Like, somewhere midway through the week, Riley. Like, probably afternoon time. Yeah, if you and GB can help with that. So, yeah, what I was saying about For Honor is I have For Honor, I have the game. I played the single player a little bit, but then I played the multiplayer, and the multiplayer was, I didn't enjoy the multiplayer. I enjoyed the single player way more, and the reason I didn't enjoy the multiplayer is because I was running into, like, massive sweats. Like, I was just new to the game, I was just trying out some of the moves and stuff, and I was encountering, like, the worst sweats ever on that game. Like, it was bad, and so that's, I didn't have that much fun with For Honor. Like, there were some really cheap moves that people were doing, and it was just, honestly, I like the melee combat way better in Mount & Blade Bannerlord. Mount & Blade Bannerlord is also on the PlayStation Store. I like the melee combat in that game. It's medieval combat, and I like the melee combat in Bannerlord a lot better than For Honor, personally. Do I like superhero media? Not really, no. Have I tried Fallout 4? I have. I'll tell you, I didn't enjoy Fallout 4 as much as, like, the other Fallout games. I thought the factions in Fallout 4 kind of sucked. It does rain at night in GTA 5, only in certain missions. I've never seen it rain in free mode. So that's, certain missions it'll rain at night, but not in free mode. Okay, here we go. And Godfather 2 ending is going to be up this week also. We're at the end of the game. Thank you, Mr. Waifu, for that super chat. Oh, and thank you, George. I'm sorry I missed your super chat earlier. Hello, everyone in Pro. I'm currently playing Jak 2. I don't know what game I should play next. My options are Jak 3 or Mass Effect 2 and 3. I'd play Jak 3 next. I played the Jak games. I did. I'll tell you though, I enjoyed the Jak 2 the most. I think Jak 2 was my favorite one. Somewhere midway this week will be the next part of Godfather 2. Yeah, some missions in Jak 2 are very hard. You know the boss battle against Crew? When I was a kid, when you fight Crew, it's on top of like that roof or whatever. It was the boss battle against Crew I thought was really annoying when I was a kid. How do you rate Ghost of Tsushima? Keep pronouncing it wrong. 10 out of 10. You know, one of the best games I've played in a very long time. After Chaz, you might mind your help with a hanger source? Sure, Lloyd, but I'm gonna ask Complete if he needs help with anything first. Because I told him, earlier. So if Complete doesn't need help with anything, I'll help you next. What are your thoughts on the railgun being added? I don't know. I don't want to see any more futuristic stuff to the game. The Saboteur is my favorite series you've played in a long time. Thank you for playing this gem. Thank you for all the effort you put into your channel. Thank you, Andy. Thanks for the super chat, man. Okay, Chaz, do you still need help with anything? Okay. I have to still test the hanger business. I'm going to be testing it. I think Baron is the most evil Jak and Daxter villain. No, I think it's the metalhead leader with his name Core. I think he's the worst one. Thank you, George, for the super chat.
Don't you... We selling?
What are your plans for next Sunday since it's Christmas Day? Oh, Sunday is Christmas? Then we'll probably stream on Saturday, then. Then, yeah. We'll do a charity stream. Yeah, we'll do a charity stream. I always do a charity stream on Christmas Eve. I don't know what charity I'll choose. I got a week to think about it. So I'll think of a charity. Maybe I'll do St. Jude's Children's Hospital again, or I might do Heart of the Bride, which you guys see that charity on like a lot of my like videos. It's linked. It's like a charity that's helping like kids in Africa who are like displaced by like war and poverty. That's a really good one. So we might do that one, or might do St. Jude's. Yeah, we'll do a charity stream next Saturday. We'll do that for Christmas Eve. We'll do it on GTA too. So it'll be a GTA charity stream. And whenever I do a charity stream, guys, I always donate live. So I donate hundreds of my own dollars live on stream, so I'm not a hypocrite. I always donate live on my own charity streams. Why don't you like the Last of Us, Pro? I like The Last of Us 1, I just don't like The Last of Us 2. I don't like The Last of Us 2 because I thought the story was not well written. People, a lot of people on YouTube are idiots, unfortunately, Andrew. I wouldn't, listen to that. I know what you're talking about. It's like a troll video attacking me. Just, ignore the idiot. You should pick a charity that donates to veterans. I did that last year. The charity that I did last year, it was, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was Semper Fi, Semper Fi something was the name of the charity. It was like a charity that helps, like, disabled veterans. To help them, like, find jobs, and also, like, helps them get back into civilian life. Helps them provide housing, too. I don't like people having a problem with other people. Well, I don't either, Jack. But unfortunately, some idiot is always having a problem with somebody else. It's like I said, it's like I said before, like, you would have no wars on this planet. You'd have no wars on this planet, you'd have no conflict, you wouldn't have, like, any, you would limit racism a lot, also, if, like, everybody on this planet just did one simple thing. And that is mind their own business. If every single person on this planet minded their own business, there'd be virtually no conflict, there'd be almost no wars, nothing like that. But the problem is people don't know how to mind their own business, and somebody's constantly trying to harass somebody else, somebody's constantly trying to take something from somebody else, and, that's the unfortunate thing. Mark, you're gonna need to hit the button when I fly over the drop, just letting you know, because you're the co-pilot. That's how these missions work. Okay, good work. Yeah, I personally can't stand people who can't mind their own business. I don't know why it's so hard for people to do that. Missed my chat about Paparazzi. I'll look in one moment. I'm sorry. Hi, Pro. If you ever drink on a special occasion, what's your drink of choice? Love the streams and videos. Oh, I drink only once a year, really, on New Year's Eve. And I drink, I just have a glass of champagne. That's it. I don't have any other alcohol whatsoever. So just a glass of champagne or maybe a glass of wine. That's it. I don't drink any beer, no whiskey, no liquor, none of that stuff. I kind of despise alcohol. So, the only thing that I'll really have is, at most is, like, wine or champagne. Okay, last one here. Yeah, this mission is always pretty good. I've always liked this mission. You can finish it relatively quickly. There we go, done. Hey Pro, just getting into GTA again, and I'm curious what career you chose for the next-gen consoles and some first steps to make myself a fortune. Have you thought about making one more guide, a guide with all the new methods? I'm gonna be making an ultimate solo guide, you know, and then eventually an ultimate money guide. I don't know about ultimate beginner's guide. I did make a new character, and I played on that new character for a few months. And the reason I made a new character is because I wanted to show people on, like, live streams that, like, you can start over again and it's not that hard to, like, make money in the game. Because a lot of people think it's, like, insanely hard, but if you get the right businesses early on, it's not that hard. And so, the unfortunate thing that happened is I had kept my PS4 character, like this guy that you see I rank 1,344. I kept this guy, you know, this is the guy I've had since day one in 2013. And I have... Oh, wait, air checkpoints. Can we do these, before you start the next mission? I just really like these, I just really like this, this activity. So I just want to really do it. Okay, hang on a second here. See here, what aircraft can I use for this? Howard will be good. Howard will be a great aircraft to use for this. Yeah, but, thank you, I win it fair. Basically, so I made a new character. I got him up to, like, rank 200 something, in a few months. And what happened was I kept my PS4, like, my guy on PS4, this guy is, like, rank 1,300. In case anybody needed help on PS4, I could still help them. Because when you transfer your PS4 character to PS5, it deletes your PS4 character. And so what ended up happening is, I kept this guy on, you know, on PS4 for months, and then, like, you know, half a year later, I decided to transfer him to PS5. When I transferred my old, you know, PS4 character to PS5, it deleted my new character. That was, like, rank 200, and I was like, oh, come on. And literally and that wasn't supposed to happen, apparently, because I contacted Rockstar support, and they made it seem like that wasn't supposed to happen, like that was some kind of glitch or something. And, basically, you know, Rockstar support was really stupid with it, and they had told me to join a new, public session. They said, join a public session and see if that fixes it. And I joined a public session, and it did nothing. And so I lost a character. And so that's, like, you know, that's Rockstar Support's answer to me. Join a public session, maybe your character will come back. Yeah. You know, so that's how Rockstar Support handled that. But, you know, I was not angry. I was more disappointed that I lost that character. But I would have been really pissed if I lost my 1,300 character. Then I would have been really angry. But, you know, I wasn't pissed about, you know, that. I was just disappointed. Okay, let's see here, what do we got? Oh, the mountain is just crawling with checkpoints. The thing is, if you use an oppressor Mark II, you're almost always going to lose on this challenge. And the reason for that is because a lot of the aircraft are just much faster. I can understand why the Mark II, because it's like, it is a bit easier to use. Damn, that one I'm a little risky to hit it. Okay. This is apparently a World War II plane, I think, is the Howard. I think this plane fought in the Pacific, during World War II, but somebody let me know down below if I'm right on that. I think I seen it in a movie once, but it's, I don't know aircraft that well. I know firearms much better than aircraft, but, right here. Okay. One moment. I'm going to read chat in a little bit, guys. I'm just focusing on just picking up these checkpoints right now. Oh, that one was down below. How well do you know Russian firearms? A lot of the older firearms I know much better. Like the Russian World War II firearms, those I know much better. I don't know the modern ones that well. Oh no! Damn, I lost. Yeah, gotta watch out for that. Let's see here. Oh, I missed a few super chats. You think Volition can make a comeback? No, I think they're done. I don't think... I mean, they're probably gonna make a game eventually that's gonna be popular in the future, but after the Saints Row reboot, people aren't gonna trust them as much anymore. Thank you, Scott. Hey, Pro, do I drink alcohol? Oh, that one I answered. I'm sorry I didn't see your super chat earlier, Scott. Let's see here. Just got myself a new to-me custom desktop computer today for $500. Currently downloading GTA 3 through other means, since I can't buy it on Steam. Thank you, Victor. Yeah, that's, yeah, I'm gonna lose this challenge really badly now. Lost a plane there. Oh, well. But thank you, Victor, and you know, hope your PC runs well for you. No, that wasn't a Zero. I don't know what plane. Anybody know what plane is the Howard based on in real life? The plane that I was flying before, and is it was it used in World War II? Will you ever do an Ace Attorney playthrough? Oh yes, definitely. Thank you, Edo. I'll definitely do the original Ace Attorney games one day. Thank you, George. Who? Wait, who's that? Thank you, George, for the super chat. I'm a bit confused. Big? Who is that? Volition blew it. They had it all and they blew it. Yeah, they did. This is the Mustang plane, right? I think that's what it is. You missed my comment. Can you type it again, Isaiah? I played Skyrim. I played Skyrim a bunch. I just haven't played it on the channel before. Oh, okay. So I guess it wasn't used in, it wasn't used in World War II. Howard is based off a racing plane called the Hughes. However, the plane does look similar to the Sea Fury, which is a British World War II plane in the Pacific. Okay, so I thought I'd seen something similar to it, but it's not the exact same one. No, I watched some of the games for the World Cup. I didn't see the finale, but, channel update video, that'll be later in the month, Ruger, but I will have it later in the month. Yes. I know some World War II weapons, well, yeah, the thing is, though, a lot of the World War II weapons are, like, very, like, have, like, a lot of, like, complex histories behind them. And it's the, like, for instance, like, the British Sten, and the American Grease Gun, and the Soviet PPSH-43, all three of those submachine guns are based on the MP40. Like, it was like an attempt to make like you know, a submachine gun that was all of like metal parts, no wooden stock, something that they could easily mass produce. A lot of people don't know that about a lot of the SMGs in World War II, but a lot of them were based on the MP40. My favorite part of history would probably be the French Revolution. I've always had a particular interest in that topic in history. What type of monitor do you have? Oh, I'm playing on my my gaming laptop's monitor. If I meet a celebrity, who would you meet? I don't know. Honestly, like, you know, I don't know which celebrity I'd like to meet, because I don't care much for celebrities. I don't. I know people obsess over them on Twitter, but I don't really care. Like, honestly, I'd much rather spend the day, like, talking to a World War II veteran that, like, American World War II veteran that fought in France, than, like, or in the Pacific, than, like, you know, than talk to some, you know, rich celebrity. So that's, like, that's what I'll say about that. My favorite Russian World War II rifle, I am an American. My favorite Russian World War II rifle, that's easy. It's the SVT-40. That one is. The SVT-40 is a very interesting rifle, and you actually don't see it a lot in World War II games. Like, some World War II games you see it, but the SVT-40 was an extremely advanced rifle for the time. Like, for the time, it was a very, very advanced gun. Yeah, it started out as the SVT-38, and when the Soviets had actually used the SVT-38 in Finland in the Winter War, there was actually an issue where the magazine would randomly fall out of the gun. The SVT-40 had actually fixed that issue. And the SVT-40 had, you know, it was a 10-round semi-automatic rifle that fired 7.62 by 54, and it was, you know, it had a gas system, it had holes in the barrel. Yeah, it was just, you know, it was a very advanced rifle for the time. And eventually, the Soviets were actually planning on mass-producing the SVT-40 and having it replace the Mosin-Nagant. So the U.S. was the only faction in World War II that had a semi-automatic as their, you know, standard issue, which is the M1 Garand. But the Soviets originally, their plan was that the SVT-40 was originally going to replace the Mosin-Nagant on a wide scale. But the reason they were never able to phase out the Mosin-Nagant is because Germany had invaded them in Operation Barbarossa in 1941. Well, the SKS was made at near the very end of World War II. I think it saw some combat use in World War II, but it was very rare.
Are you serious? Take it anymore.
So and here's what a lot of people don't know. A lot of people say the AK-47 is a copy off of the Sturmgewehr 44, the STG 44, but what they don't know is the AK-47 isn't really a copy off the STG 44. Do you know what is a copy? The ammo of the gun. The 7.62x39 is the bullet the AK-47 the SKS used. That was actually based on the German round. I forget what the cartridge was for the STG 44. But it was the Soviets understood that that intermediate cartridges were eventually going to replace, like, you know, the larger cartridges like that the bolt-action rifles used. Let's see here. 7.92 Kurs. Oh, okay, that's what it was, yeah. Yeah, but I personally read about a lot of the World War II firearms, and so when I was playing through Call of Duty Vanguard, if you guys saw my Call of Duty Vanguard playthrough, like, a lot of people were laughing during my playthrough because I was getting really annoyed when I was playing Vanguard, the single player. I have a whole playthrough of it, but I was getting really pissed off that, like, the historical inaccuracy in, like, the firearms in that game. Like, it was so, like, World at War was so much more historically accurate with the firearms than, like, Vanguard was. Like, Vanguard was pissing me off. Like, when I saw, like, that the Japanese had, like, STG-44s in, like, the Pacific in, like, 1943, and the Japanese had, like, MG-42s, they actually had that in Vanguard. I was like, this is stupid. Like, it wasn't, and I'm not talking about the multiplayer. I'm not talking about the multiplayer. I'm talking about the single player. The single player Japanese enemies, they had STG-44s and MG-42s, which that made absolutely no sense. That made no sense. The Japanese would have been carrying, during the Pacific, they would have been carrying the Type 99 Arisaka. Sometimes they would be carrying the Type 38 rifle. The Type 100 was actually not used. The Type 100 submachine gun was not used that much by the Japanese. It was only like 40,000 were made of them. And the Type 100, when the Japanese did use them, it was typically an officer, like a Japanese officer would carry that, or it would be a paratrooper. Japanese paratroopers in China carry Type 100s. But when the Americans like fought them in the Pacific and like landing on the islands, the Japanese didn't really have the Type 100s. It was mostly Arisakas that shot at like Marines.
We on?
Okay, let's see here. What happened to my car? Okay. Pro is a college graduate. I did finish college, but like my knowledge of history and like firearms has nothing to do with college. 0. What's my favorite sniper? You mean my favorite World War II sniper rifle, or do you mean my favorite World War II sniper? If you mean my favorite World War II sniper, it'd probably have to be Simo Haiha. That was like, you know, he was like, you know, he was the greatest sniper that ever lived. Like, you know, the Finnish sniper. Because in 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Finland, and they tried to take over Finland, and like, you know, Simo Haiha was like a poor farmer, and he was like an expert marksman, and he did not use a scope. A lot of people don't know that he didn't use a scope. He just used iron sights, and he had gotten a kill count of 505 in 3 months. So that was like, he has the highest kill count in the shortest period. So that I would say was Simo Haiha. If you want to know, like, my second favorite sniper of World War II, it would have to probably be Ludmila Pavlichenko, the Soviet sniper. Like, she was really deadly as well. I think her kill count was, I think, over 100 to 200. I could be wrong. Vasily Zaitsev was also, you know, an elite sniper. But yeah, it was, the reason that he actually didn't use a scope, Simo Haiha, because of the fact that he was scared that that it would give away his position, the glare of it would. And what he would do is he would actively chew on snow. And the reason he would chew on snow is so that the vapors, like, in your breath wouldn't show, because when it's cold outside and you breathe, you can see the vapors, and so sometimes that would give away his position. And so that's ultimately why he, why he used, iron sights. But that guy was like, a crazy elite marksman. The Soviets had like sent like entire teams of people to like sniper teams to kill him, and he would kill the entire sniper team. Like if there was like a real life Rambo, it was that guy. It was just him. But this is like this is 1939, so this is when the Soviets were invading Finland. So Finland was defending itself. So it was that's what Winter Wars like. The Winter War is a strange conflict, because it was a war that happened during World War II. It was before the Soviet Union got betrayed by Germany, but it was technically during World War II, but it wasn't part of World War II. That's what's weird about the Winter War. Can you name every country? I actually did like a map test like in the past where I was able to actually like map out the vast majority of the countries in the world. So I could. There was like when it came to Europe, I had gotten almost 100% accuracy on it, on like naming all the countries. North America was very easy. Is the easiest one. South America was easy too. I got that done. Asia, I got it done for the most part. Africa too. The part where when I did the geography test, I had gotten 95% of the world's countries right. But the countries that I messed up on the geography thing were the Asian like Far East countries. It was like there was like those island countries. Like I don't think it's even technically part of Asia. There's those islands that are like north of Australia, like those really small islands that are like in their own countries. Those are the ones that I forgot the names of, and those I messed up on. But I did, and the reason I got so good at geography was because I actually had like, a globe on my desk when I was a kid, and I had it for years. And so whenever I would like, spend time on my computer, I would just look at the globe and just like spin it around and look at all the countries, and I have a pretty good memory of where all the countries are. And Oceania, yes. It wasn't Indonesia, it wasn't Guam or Wake. It was like the small islands, like in the it was the small islands like in the north of Australia. Those are the ones I messed up on geography. I forgot the names of them. Oh, well, I'll be doing a charity stream on Christmas Eve, Mr. Blue Wolf. Oh, and did Isaiah post this comment again? I'm sorry if I wasn't able to read it. I've just been telling stories here before. But here's, the flamethrower is one scary weapon ever invented. Oh, yes, it definitely is, Victor. But do you know that flamethrower troopers also had, like, the least amount of survivability? Like, in World War I and World War II, flame troopers had the least chances of surviving out of all the soldiers. Like, they were the ones who were the most likely to die. The player who knows the history of what he plays. Well, thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for the super chat, man. Remember, people, never meet your heroes. Well, thank you, Mr. Waifu. Yeah, because they might not turn out to be the people that you think they are. It comes to the celebrities. I want make Mafia in my series good guys who commit almost no heinous crimes but own several businesses. Any tips on how I can make it work well? Well, the thing is, by having them be the Mafia, they're going to be the bad guys regardless. There are going to be some there's some Mafia members that aren't as bad as, like, you know, other Mafia members, definitely. But ultimately, everyone who's in the Mafia is bad. You know, there really isn't one person in the Mafia who's not a bad person. So, you know, everybody, there's people that are worse than others, definitely. But, you know, ultimately everyone in the Mafia is a bad person. You know, even, like, I would say that even the wives of, like, the bosses are bad people. Like, I would say that, too. Even though they don't commit any crimes, the reason I would say the wives of the bosses are bad people is because the Mafia bosses' wives, they most of the time know what the Mafia boss is doing. Like, it's like, even if the Mafia boss doesn't tell them straight up, like, they know. Like, they can put two and two together, they know exactly what their husband is doing, and they're perfectly fine with, like, you know, living under that blood money. You know, the mob boss's wife is perfectly fine with living in the mansion, all that stuff. She doesn't care, you know, as long as, you know, she gets her luxury and everything like that, the fancy cars and the house and everything. So she doesn't care if her husband kills, robs, and steals from other people to do it. So that's like, so even though the Mafia wife isn't committing any crimes, I still say they're a horrible person as well. They could have not known not known and are now stuck. Well, what I'll say about that, here's what I'll say about that, is that,
Cryptocurrency.
if somebody, if like a woman was to, like, date, like, a Mafia soldier, like a Mafia associate or a soldier, it will be very easy for them to hide what their occupation is. Very easy. But I'm not talking about the wives of, like, the soldiers and, like, the Mafia associates. I'm talking about the wives of, like, the capos, the captains, the wives of the underbosses, the boss, the wife of the consigliere. Like, the wife would have to be stupid if she doesn't know, like, what her, husband is doing. Like, she might not know his specific role in the Mafia, sure, but she would know what the husband is doing, definitely. Like, if you look at the Sopranos, like, the Sopranos are a perfect example of that. Like, if you watch, like, Carmela, like, Tony's wife, like, she tries to pretend like she doesn't know what he's doing, but she actually does. She puts two and two together, and it's very easy for her to figure out what Tony is doing. And so she tries to think in the back of her head that she's not married to, like, a bad guy, like a sociopath, but then she is. But then at the same time she's perfectly fine with, like, living under that blood money. She's living in the mansion and everything like that, and so she's perfectly fine with that. So what I'll say is, you eventually see it. You might not see it right away, but, you eventually see it. It's just, you see all the guys coming over to the house. They might not talk, when the bosses, like, guys are going to come over to the house, they're not going to talk, like, Mafia stuff, typically, because they know that, the feds could be listening. But, the wife eventually figures it out. Like, the wives aren't stupid. They eventually figure it out. And so, like, the boss's wife, they will know. So that's what I would say is, like, the mob boss's wives are oftentimes, like, really bad people as well. Amanda is based on a mafia boss's wife. Yeah, and, like, remember how, like, you know, there's that one scene in GTA 5, where, remember the last therapy session with his family. Like, it's not the last therapy session, but it's the therapy session when he gets his family back. And, like, Amanda's just saying during the therapy, she's like, you kill people and stuff like that. And the therapist can't really say that to the police unless the therapist believes that somebody's in danger. So it's like, but Michael basically says to Amanda, he says to her, I don't see you complaining on the way to the bank. And that was actually a very well-written, like, script. And that was like the parody, like, A Gangster's Wife. That's basically, Amanda was a parody of A Gangster's Wife. Because it was like, you know, she was saying, like, you kill people, and then Michael's like, I don't see you complaining on the way to the bank. So that's like, that was that. So, like, I don't know how somebody can be like that, how somebody can, like, you know, be perfectly fine with, like, you know, their husband being, like, a murderer, and then they're like, oh, I get to live in the mansion. So it's just, you know, I don't know how somebody can have that type of attitude personally. I wouldn't be able, you know, if I had a family member that I knew was, like, you know, a murderer or something like that, and, like, even if they were showering me with luxury, I wouldn't be able to, like, live, you know, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night like that. Like, that would just bother me extremely. So that was just, you know, I would just probably cut that family member off. I would just say, I don't want anything to do with you. You know, I probably wouldn't be scared they would come after me because I'm not, like, you know, I'm not ratting them out or anything, but I just wouldn't want I wouldn't want, you know, do anything with them personally. So that's just it. Carmela was cool, Tony. Oh yeah, no, most of the episode she wasn't. Yeah, there was a lot of fights in that show. But yeah, some of the, what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of the, no, it's not really Stockholm Syndrome, because Stockholm Syndrome is when you get kidnapped by somebody and then you develop, like, a relationship with them. That's ultimately, and it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship, it can be more like a friendship bond. That's what Stockholm Syndrome is when you develop a relationship with your kidnapper, but that's not really it, you know, the mob boss isn't kidnapping the wife and forcing the wife to marry, him. The wife, you know, she married this guy. So that was, yeah, they are, okay. Yeah, and that was the funny thing about that episode. I remember that, like, you know, she was about to cheat on Tony. She didn't cheat on Tony in the end, but she was, like, about to cheat on Tony. And, like, and the thing is, like, when Tony found out about that, like, Tony was so furious. He was so angry about that. And then, but at the same time, Tony literally cheats on his wife multiple times. Like, he cheated on his wife, like, what, 5 times in the show? Like, so it was just, you know, he did it multiple times throughout the show, different seasons. He's constantly cheating. And yet he's, you know, he freaks out when his wife cheats on him, so. That's the type of person that you marry when you marry a mob boss. But, yeah, so, what I'll say, another thing I'll say about this is the mob bosses, like, wives oftentimes can be just as ruthless, or they can be even more ruthless than the boss sometimes. Like, there was this one mafia family that was in Italy, and I don't remember the name of the family. Somebody probably knows in the comments down below what mafia family I'm talking about. There was a mafia family where the boss was actually a woman, and, that almost never happens, because the mafia is, like, extremely sexist, and so, like, women are not allowed to become maid in the mafia. But the reason that happened is because I think the woman, I think she was the boss's, wife, and I think the boss either got locked up or he died. I think that's what it was, and so she ended up taking over his operations afterwards, and it took a really long time to take that mafia down. Eventually she was taken down and sent to prison, but one of the reasons that it was really long to take that mafia down was because of sexism. Because when the Italian police were, like, investigating the mafia, they didn't know who the boss was. And it was actually very smart of the mafia to make the boss a woman. The reason it was very smart is because of the sexism. Because the police were very sexist, and so they didn't think that a woman was leading the mafia. They didn't expect that. They thought that it was a man, and so they were trying to figure out who the boss was, and they didn't suspect that it was the boss's wife, and so that family got away with a lot for a very long time, but eventually they put it together and they threw her in prison. But that was like, and that family, that mafia family where the boss was a woman, they're actually in GTA 4. So the Pavano family is based on them. They're based on that family. Because in GTA 4, the Pavano family is led by a female boss, but I forget the name of the family in real life that they're based on. But it was it was a family that was in mainland Italy. It wasn't a family, it wasn't an Italian family that was in New York. Let me see, complete, do you need help? I'll help you out right now. You just send me an invite. But yeah, that was, you know, that was it, like, you know, when people were complaining in, like, Call of Duty, like, what was it, in Modern Warfare 2, like, you know, people were complaining in Modern Warfare 2 saying that it was unrealistic that, like, a woman was, like, the leader of the cartel. I found it very realistic, actually, because it's a way for, it's also, you know, it's, a lot of these women that are bosses can be very smart, and oftentimes are even smarter, much smarter than the male bosses. So it was, and it attracts a lot less attention to the cartel, because even in Modern Warfare 2, remember when you played Modern Warfare 2, like, most of the characters in Modern Warfare 2 thought that the cartel boss was a man. And so it put a lot less attention on the cartel because of that. So it was actually very smart, the way they were playing it. And, you know, when you go in that basement in Modern Warfare 2 and they say that El Sin Nombre Sicaria is here, but they don't say El Sin Nombre. So the cartel have been trained on that. They've been trained on deception into, you know, who the boss is. So that's like, that's what I'll say about it, is that a lot of times women are actually leaders of these mafias and these gangs, and people don't realize it. And they're, you know, they're very smart, oftentimes smarter than the male bosses. Oh no, she's not gonna be an operator, she's an antagonist. I can't imagine her being an operator, Drift. What do you think about a rapper's lyrics being used in court against them since you studied law enforcement? You have to give me some more context on this. Like, how are his lyrics being used against him in court? Is it like, did he say something incriminating in his lyrics? Like, you gotta explain this a little bit more to me. I'll look for your comment, though. Let's see here. Yeah, I could try to add you another time though, Logan, but it would have to be after the stream though, because I can't add anybody during the stream. Yes, that was in Stockholm. Yes, I know what you're talking about. The Vios. It happened in Stockholm. It was like he was a bank robber, and he was robbing a bank. Stockholm, that's in Sweden, right? So he was robbing a bank in Sweden, and he held the hostages for hours, and apparently the hostages had like developed a relationship with him and liked them, and so when he finally surrendered to police, none of the hostages would testify against him. Like, they refused to testify against the bank robber, and the bank robber did get convicted, but it was very hard to do it because none of the hostages wanted to testify against him. That's ultimately where that term came from. Will I do a play for Red Dead Redemption 1? Yes, I will one day, Mojo, thanks for the super chat. Thank you, Mr. Waifu. Yeah, I mentioned that quote. And thank you, Sir Bats Gaming. Bro, if you were a therapist and he told you he killed someone, what would you do? You can't legally report him because he isn't targeting anyone. He already did it, so what would you do? It's a very tricky situation. There is some, you know, confidentiality, you know, between, like, a lot of therapists actually have a good idea that their patients are criminals. But therapy is also a dangerous job because if you're a therapist, you're a witness, technically. So it's, you know what, remember what Michael Franchise said, you know, the former mob guy? He said that, and I agree with him 100%, he said in that the most unrealistic thing about the Sopranos is when the Mafia boss goes to therapy sessions. because he said that both the mafia boss and the therapist would be in the trunk of a car. So that's like, you know, because that's like, you know, the boss could potentially be spilling like secrets about the organization when he's going to therapy. So that's Farah is one of the female leaders that leads the Urzikstan resistance for Modern Warfare 2019. Yeah, and yeah, but she's leading the resistance. You know, what I was talking about is I was talking about like mafia bosses, because it's like, you know, people, there's a lot of sexism, like there's a lot of sexism out there, even if people don't want to admit to it. It is kind of sexism. It's like, you know, people, when people don't think that a mafia boss is a woman, like they always assume that the mafia boss is like a man. And so, like, because of that, some of these gangs get away with stuff because they don't investigate that fully. It draws less attention to the organization. What mafia rank is Tony Soprano? He's at the beginning of the series, he's technically the acting boss. He is a capo, and then later he tells Junior that he wants him to be boss, but Tony's the real boss. He just promoted Junior just so that the feds would be more onto Junior. So that's if you hope that cleans up that confusion. The mafia in my series just own businesses such as a casino, bars, clubs, anything of the sort, but the only racket would be actual protection. Yeah, well, you know, protection isn't, you know, protection money isn't as bad as like drugs. But you know, it's still a bad one. Yeah, I would still say that they're all like look up YSI Young Thug Rico case. There's a gang and a rap on it on songs. And his rap lyrics, you said, were used against him. But can you explain like the context? I did it. Can you explain like the context to me again, Expedition? Like you said, his rap lyrics were used against him, but can you explain to me how exactly? Like, did he say something? Did he commit? Did he admit to a crime on his rap lyrics? Is that what he did? You gotta explain the story a little bit more to me. I'm sorry, I just can't look it up right now. But if you could explain exactly to me what happened really quick, I could give you my opinion on that. Therapy and Mafia was a subplot in the Spider-Man game. The detective got a therapist to make the Mafia boss to confess. Therapist got killed. Yeah. And that's the thing is, though, is that when the police are literally, like, when the police are sending somebody, like, undercover, like, I'm not even talking like a cop, but even, like, you know, if they're sending somebody in with a wire to talk to people, they're putting that person in danger. That person is in, you know, that person understands the danger, but the police have to do everything to safeguard that person's, you know, safety, because that's like, you know, that's like one of the worst, you know, one of the worst things the police, you know, can ask you to do is they can ask you, hey, can you wear a wire? That's like, you know, one of the most dangerous things ever, because the thing is, though, is that the safest thing to do while wearing a wire is to just act normally. Just act like how you normally acted. That's the safest thing to do when you're wearing a wire. If you start acting suspicious or anything like that, or you're getting nervous, people are going to catch on to that really quickly. So that's like, you know, and one of the worst things that people do, you know, you know, sometimes people wear wires because they got caught, so they got arrested. They're like gang members or mafia members that got arrested, and so they're wearing a wire. Other times they're just witnesses, and they didn't even commit a crime. But the police might ask them, do you want to wear a wire? And the person doesn't really have to if they don't want to. But, you know, one of the mistakes that people do when they wear wires, like one of the worst things they do, is not only do they act suspicious, but they ask questions. That's one of the worst things that they can do, is when they ask questions. Like, if you notice in the Sopranos, they were very easily able to tell oftentimes who was wearing a wire. Not always, but a lot of times. And it was pretty realistic depiction, because the mob guys that were wearing wires would ask questions because they were trying to get it recorded on tape, and it was things that they already went over. So if it was something that they already went over, and something that they already talked about, and another guy in your organization is asking you like 2 or 3 times the same thing, you know, that's really suspicious at that point. That's a very easy way for that person to get killed. But literally, the safest way for somebody wearing a wire typically to record like an illegal conversation is to just try to bring it up in like a conversation. Not like ask about it, but like just, you know, talk about something, and then like hope that it leans into that subject eventually, and hope that the guy talks about it. Like, you don't want to ask the person about it. You want them to talk about it willingly on their own, because then they're going to be less suspicious of you. If they open up about it and they say the illegal thing while you're recording, then, you know, there's a lot less suspicion on yourself. But if you know, you ask them to start the conversation about that, that's like, that's pretty risky to do that. But yeah, I'm not an expert by any means, but that's just what I've read up about it typically, and what I've noticed about it is that, you know, I've seen a lot of cases with, like, wires and stuff like that, and, you know, a lot of cases that I've seen with wires typically don't end in the person getting killed. That can happen, but typically when a gangster realizes that a person is wearing a wire, they don't kill the person, not at least right away. When a gangster realizes the person is wearing a wire, they typically end the conversation, and they'll typically try to walk away. That's typically what they do. So it's not like the movies. Like in the movies, you often see them where they think somebody's wearing a wire and they just take out a gun and shoot them. The reason that gangsters don't typically take out a gun and shoot the person when they realize they're wearing a wire, even though they want to kill them, the reason they don't do it is because they know that if they're wearing a wire, they know the police are probably nearby. And so they know if they open fire or something like that, or they try to kill the person, they know the police are just going to storm the building and they're going to get them. So what the gangster typically does, they typically just try to end the conversation and walk away, and then they try to kill the person with the wire later on. That's what happens a lot oftentimes. But that's like, you know, if that happens though, if that happens that the gangster walks away and gets suspicious, now you have to put that person in protection, in witness protection, that person, because that person is now, the probability of them getting killed is extremely high. So that's like, that's about that. So, you know, the police, like, you know, wearing a wire isn't always, well, you said wearing a wire is a death wish, not always. I would say that wearing a wire can be a death wish if you're trying to take down a criminal organization. If you're trying, because wires aren't just for criminal organizations. They can be like a murderer. They can be like a murderer that acted on their own, and they can have somebody from the family try to wear like a wire to try to get them to admit to the murder. So that can happen. But like if somebody's wearing a wire for like against a criminal organization, chances are that entire criminal organization is not going to be taken down. So there's going to be still somebody left, and that somebody else is going to know that person snitched. And so they are, at that point, is that person now has to be put in witness protection for the rest of their lives. Like, different identities, like, completely move across the country, or possibly to an even different country. Like, they gotta, you know, get new identities, everything. Like, you know, at that point. If it's just where they're taking down, like, a lone murderer, if there's, like, somebody that's, like, a murderer, like, you know, somebody robbed and killed somebody, right? And the police have, like, a pretty good idea of who did it, but they don't have direct evidence, they might ask, like, a friend or a family member, or somebody that they know they can trust. They might ask them, like, you know, this person, we think this person killed them. Like, can you wear a wire? Like, you know, can you try to get this person on tape? And that'll be, if that person gets put away, that person doesn't really have to worry about anything, because it's just a lone person, so they don't have to worry about somebody else coming after them. So they're relatively safe. But if it's like a criminal organization that you're wearing a wire against, like, this doesn't have to just be Mafia. This can be bikers, this can be, like, you know, street gangsters, you know, Mafia, cartel. If you're wearing a wire against a criminal organization, and even if you put that gangster away who you wore the wire on, you're not going to take down the whole organization with just one wire. You're literally, you're going to have the rest of the organization after you now for the rest of your life. So that's it. So, like, nobody wants to do that, and I don't blame them. The only time people do that is it's other Mafia guys. When the police tell them, oh, you know, you're facing life in prison unless you wear the wire, then they oftentimes do it. So that whole Cosa Nostra thing, that whole omerta, the code of silence, it's all BS. It's all nonsense. They don't believe in that. You know, they act like it's something sacred, like they're a big family, but in reality, these guys are all in it for themselves, and they will instantly turn on each other. Like, you know, I remember that, like, my one of my professors was like a, you know, when I was in college, he literally laughed about this. He was joking about this. He was saying that the code of omerta, he's like, maybe more the joke code, that's what he said. Because he was laughing about it. He was saying that these Mafia guys act like they're all brothers and they're all loyal to each other. But he said the second that they get arrested and they're facing severe, you know, prison time, they all ratting each other out. So that shows you they don't really like each other. They're not really friends. They don't actually care about each other. If they're, you know, willing to just rat each other out the second that they get caught. So that's the thing about it, is that in the Mafia, though, they're no about that. No, I'm not. You're joking, right? Well, I'm just saying what my professor. I studied law enforcement. You know, I'm not a criminal or anything. I went to school for, like, studied law. I was eventually going to work in, like, you know, police and stuff like that. So that's just what I'm talking about, like, a little bit of what I know. But it's just, you know, no, I'm not a criminal or anything. Let's see. I hope you get the post-op cell mission every time and get grief. Well, thank you very much. They always talk about burning in hell. Yeah, nobody cares about that. That is a common thing. that is a common thing that they in the Mafia they say if you betray the family you burn in hell. That is an actual thing. So when you see that in like the movies and stuff, they say if you betray the family you'll burn in hell. That actually does, they do say that in real life. But nobody cares about that, like I said. Like, you know, and like I said, it's stupid. Like, you know, one of the stupidest things that I ever saw was, like, you know, Polly in the, if you ever watch Polly in the Sopranos, like, you know, I'll look at your question a little bit, but Polly in the Sopranos, when you watch the Sopranos, like, what Polly in the Sopranos does is he says specifically, you know, Chris, like, there's one scene where Chris asks him if he's scared of hell or something like that, and Polly says, he's like, oh no, I can just spend like 1,000 years or something in purgatory and then I'll eventually go to heaven. Yeah, no. So it's just, you know, that shows you what's in the minds of these gangsters. You know, these gangsters might go to church or they might go to, you know, mass or confession. They're not going to admit to the murders on confession, but they're like, they think they just go to church. You know, they say a few Hail Marys and they think they're not going to go to hell. And that's even if you believe hell is a real place. But it's the like I said, they don't care about that type of stuff. They don't. And this is personally what I find so stupid about this stuff. Is that these gangsters, when you think about it, these gangsters rob, steal, murder. They're, you know, cold-blooded monsters. They're horrible human beings. They're evil people. And, you know, and they do all these horrible things, and that's not going to get them sent to hell, but apparently ratting out the family, that's what's going to get them sent to hell. So that's crossing the line, is when you rat out the family. But, you know, all the killing and all the extortion and all the scams and all the horrible things they do, that's not going to get you to hell, but then ratting out the family. So that's literally why the Omerta is so stupid. It's, like, honestly such a joke, and it's just the Mafia don't really have, like, you know, the loyalty to each other like you think they do. The closest thing that you're gonna have to actual loyalty in the Mafia is when it's actual, like, family, when it's real family, like, you know, blood, then they might not rat each other out. They might just take the prison sentence. But if it's like, you know, just other made men or something like that, and you're facing life in prison unless you give us the boss, they're gonna do it. So that's like, most of the time they don't keep their mouth shut. They do, you know, rat each other out. So that's, you know, ultimately with the Mafia. Do you know what the, do you know what one of the gangs that's the hardest to break is? One of the gangs that are the least likely to rat each other out? You know who they are? Bikers. Bikers are actually the least likely to rat each other out. Like, you know, some of them. The reason that bikers are, like, so, you know, so less likely to rat each other out is because bikers, I've always found bikers like a weirder, like, you know, gang. You know, they drive around on motorcycles, but that's not what I'm talking about. The reason I found bikers like the strangest gang out of all of them is because the bikers are the closest thing to, like, actual friends. Because, like, in the Mafia, for instance, Mafia gangs, they're not really friends. They just associate with each other for money. They associate with each other because they're making money through their illegal activities. But it's the bikers that are typically the ones that are close to each other. They're typically, like, actual friends, and they actually care about each other, typically. And so that's, like, the bikers are, like, some of the ones that are the least likely to rat out. Like, the hardcore bikers, like, they'll sit in prison for life, oftentimes, and, like, rat out, like, you know, their gang. So that's, like, the bikers, and the bikers aren't even very rich. Like, the Mafia are very rich, but the bikers aren't even very rich. And so they won't, like, typically they won't rat out people, like, you know, like you think they do. So that's, like, you know, the bikers have way more code of silence. Their code of silence is way more taken seriously than, like, the Mafia, even though the Mafia, like, preaches it so much. So it's like, and the reason I think it's that way is because the bikers are people that ride together, they hang out together, they drink together, they're constantly with each other, so, like, friendships form, bonds form with each other. Like, the Mafia guys, they might hang out with each other, they might go to parties, but the bond isn't as strong as the bond with bikers, and that's why bikers are much less likely to rat each other out than, you know, mob guys are. That's ultimately what it's about. It's, here, I missed a lot of comments, I'm sorry. Therapy in the Mafia was a subplot. Okay, I read that one, yeah. So yeah, the police put that person at risk, what I was saying is, a wire, you know, wires do work. I generally, you know, from a law enforcement perspective, even though, you know, I never served in law enforcement, but I did finish it. From a law enforcement perspective, I think that wires are generally, like, you know, a good thing. You know, they do provide valuable information, and sometimes wires are the only way to catch somebody. That's what people don't understand. It's like the police have a good idea that somebody did something, but that's not evidence admissible in court. The police can't just say, oh, we highly suspect he did it. That's not good enough. So, you know, they need something admissible in court. And so, you know, wires are generally, like, a good idea, but the police need to be very careful, you know, who they, you know, how they handle it. They need to ensure that person's safety, because that person's safety is, like, that person put themselves at a huge risk by just wearing the wire. Like, one of the things that was, like, I thought was kind of, you know, it was an extreme thing to do, was in Sleeping Dogs. So in Sleeping Dogs, you play as an undercover cop, and one of the really risky things that Wade did, like, it was extremely risky, was in that one mission when he has Ileana was her name, right? Ileana, was the Russian girlfriend, his Russian girlfriend. So when he's trying to find out what happened to the other missing Russian women, and the missing Russian girls are being, like, kidnapped by, like, the triads, and they're being, like, you know, smuggled. And what happened is, what Wade did is he told her, you know, to pretend that he's gonna meet the other triad, and he's gonna tell her, you go with this triad and I'll follow you, and that'll lead me to the other girls. And she went along with it because she wanted her friends to be safe. But at the same time, that is very risky, because when you let somebody go with somebody that you know could possibly be kidnapped and you lose them, you know, that's on you. If that person gets killed and that person gets taken and never found, that's on you. You caused that at that point, because you planned the whole thing out. So that's something extreme that, like, Wei did. I don't think that would really fly, you know, in real life. But it was, you know, it did work in the end. He did find where the triads were keeping the girls. But it was, like, it's extremely risky. It's like, you let somebody, like, you know, go with somebody that you have somebody that pretends to be kidnapped. Basically, that does happen. You know, sometimes people do pretend to be kidnapped when they work with cops. Then, you know, that's extremely risky, because you have to follow the person, and you have to make sure that that person is safe at all times, because that can go bad really, really, really quickly. And so that's, like, why do mafias exist in life? Like, what's the reason? The reason? It's simple: money. That's what it's ultimately about. It's about money. It's, you know, virtually all criminal organizations exist for money. There's very few criminal organizations that exist that aren't for money. The only criminal organization that I can think of that exists not for money is terrorists. That's really the only criminal organization that I can think of that exists that's not for money, because terrorists have a political ideology to it. You know, gangs, mafias, even biker gangs, they're all for it's all for money. That's all it is. It's making illegal money. That's really the whole purpose of it. Is like, remember I'll read all the super chats. I'm just getting into this a lot. But if anybody has ever played Ghost Recon Wildlands, in Ghost Recon Wildlands, it was La Plaga, the plague. He was one of the buchons. I think he was the what was La Plaga's role? La Plaga was, correct me if I'm wrong, La Plaga was the what was he? He was the underboss of security. Somebody probably knows what he was. He was in the security part of the cartel, but he was a high rank in the cartel. And La Plaga basically just started, like, massacring people and posting about it on social media. So he would, like, kill people and then post about it on social media. And the boss, El Sueño, he got really mad, and he ordered, like, La Plaga's death. El Sueño didn't care about any of the people that La Plaga killed, but he thought that La Plaga was putting too much attention on the cartel. And he said that the purpose of a drug cartel is to make money, and La Plaga doesn't understand that. That's what El Sueño said. And so that was, like, I thought that was actually a pretty realistic depiction right there of that. Because it's ultimately about money, and if you know, if you don't make the organization money, you're not going to last very long, and by that I mean your life. So it's just this goes for pretty much anything, any you know, gang. If you don't make them money, you're in danger. Let's see here. Thank you, Antonio. Hey, the professional. What do you think about the Unabomber and his view about society? I don't know about his really about his view on society. I actually don't know too much about that case. I've heard about it before, but I would have to, you know, I'd have to read more about that case. I'm sorry I can't give you a direct answer on that, Antonio. No, GTA 6, and it's pretty much 2023. Is 2025 most likely for the release? Yeah, probably. I can't see GTA 6 coming out in 2023. Maybe 2024 earliest. Thank you, David. And I answered your question, Eric. Thank you for the super chat. Can you help me sell my stuff next, please? Yeah, I could. I could help you sell your stuff. Oh wait, we missed a motorcycle. Imagine they think they're going to heaven, but God says, bruh, you literally killed and extorted people for decades, for your boss. Get out of here. Yeah, that's ultimately, like, you know, what I, you know, I think is, like, you know, honestly, if these people piss me off, like, so much, like, you know, it was just, you know, that, like, you know, and it was, like, I just never understood these people, that these people can do such horrible things, and then they go to confession. and they can, you know, typically in like the Catholic religion, a priest is forbidden from saying the confession to anybody else. That's just something between the priest, the person confessing, and God, in the religion. And, you know, technically, if somebody comes in and tells a priest in confession that he's killed somebody, the priest can't really say anything about that. The priest might go to, like, the police and might say to them that, like, you might have the wrong man in prison. That's what the priest might say if they arrested the wrong person. A priest typically can't, in his religion, typically can't, you know, say this person in confession told me. But what I will say about that is it pisses me off how these, you know, horrible, evil human beings, they go to confession and they admit to these horrible things, and then they think, and then they just do it again. They do it again. These horrible things. They're not sorry. They do it again, and they think that by going to confession, and they think that by admitting these things, that they're somehow going to go to heaven. So, like, they think, oh, I do these horrible things, I go to confession, I admit that I'm sorry, I do them again, I go to confession, I admit I'm sorry, I'm gonna go to heaven. Like, you know, no, I don't believe any of that personally, and so it's just, you know, that's like, I personally think there's certain things that are unforgivable, and, like, I think murder is, like, one thing that's completely unforgivable, and so that's just, you know, that personally, these sociopaths piss me off a lot of times, how they just think they can take human life like that, and they think, oh, you know, no big deal, I'm not a bad person, I'll end up going to heaven if I just confess. And so these people actually like this. Sociopaths actually think stuff like this. If they actually do believe in an afterlife, they think about stuff like that. You know, does Lucky Luciano really help the U.S. against Italy? You're talking about World War II, right, Jonathan? I don't know that much about it. I know much more about Al Capone and Johnny Torrio. I know way more about them than Lucky. I don't actually know that much about Lucky. I know that Lucky died at an airport. I think that's when he died. He was about to get arrested, and I think he died of a heart attack. When I say actual protection, it's like hired security, where a soldier would ask if the owner would like protection and stay by guarding the place. Well, the thing about that, DL Gaming, is that would be security in that case. But if the owner says, I don't want security, but then the Mafia still tell them, you're going to take security whether you like it or not, or we're going to smash your store, that's extortion. If the Mafia walk away and say that, you know, okay, that's fine, then that's not extortion. But if they force you to take security, that's still extortion. Even if they're providing you with a service, if they force you to take that service, that's still extortion. So that's, early Merry Christmas, Pro. Take care, Afina. Thank you, Afina. I do hate when you get bounties for stealing cars, too. Let me see here. Thoughts on terrorists using child soldiers? Well, terrorists don't just use child soldiers. Dictators use child soldiers all the time. You look at, you look at huge parts of Africa, and that, that happens also. That's one of the reasons that I actually do my charities. If you look at my videos, there's so many charities for Africa. It's, to help all the kids that are, like, displaced by the war and the poverty. And it's just so horrible. Like, these warlords are just such scumbags, such horrible people. Such evil people. If you ever seen that movie, what is it, Machine Gun Preacher? The Machine Gun Preacher was, like, a really good movie. It's based mostly on, real events. Sam Childers was the guy's name. Was his name? It was Sam or something was his name. I don't remember if that's his last name. But yeah, he was, he was like, he was an American that ended up going. He was like a former criminal that like went to Africa. He went to Sudan specifically because he felt like I don't think Sam ever killed anybody. I think he was in prison for like a lot of other things, but he wanted to like make a difference in his life, and so Sam was actually like one of the few times you see somebody that's like actually a changed man, and so he wanted to change his life around, and so he decided to go to Africa and like help kids, and he saw like the warlords and like the the horrible things that were going on. But I would recommend watching Machine Gun Preacher, and it's a pretty good movie, and you don't even have to be religious to watch the movie. Like, I'm an agnostic, I don't have any really religious affiliation. I still like the movie. But it was, yeah, so I was right on his last name. Yeah, and one of my favorite scenes in Machine Gun Preacher is, basically, there's, like, a lot of rich people that come to the church, and the rich people basically act like they're good Christians, they act like they're good people, but in reality, they don't care. And they more come to church as more of, like, a security reason for themselves, so that they end up going to heaven. So, like, it's like they go to church just to put on a more community approach so that people see them as good people, but they're really not good people. And they do it, because just so that they believe that they're going to go to heaven, even if they're scumbags. But there's a scene in the movie in which, there's, this rich guy who owns, like, these multi-million-dollar mansions and all these cars and everything like that. And he goes to Sam's church. And, like, Sam tells him, can you please help me, like, build this orphanage in Africa? and he keeps avoiding the conversation, like, every time to help the kids. Like, every time. And then eventually, he gives him, like, a check, and he's like, this is for your kids. And he only gives him, like, I think, like, a few $100s at most. This guy is millions and millions of dollars. We're not talking about somebody that only has $1 million. We're talking about somebody who has millions and millions and millions of dollars. And this guy was, like, claiming, I'm a good Christian and everything like that. And Sam was actually running, like, a good cause. And that movie shows that really well. It shows that the hypocrisy of, like, some of the people that, like, you know, go to church, and some of the people that, like, they act like they're good people, but in reality they're not. And I really love that scene in the movie. It shows the hypocrisy of that. Like, a lot of movies don't show that. And so I literally, I thought that was a really good movie. I like that movie a lot, Machine Gun Preacher. But yeah, it was like these warlords in Africa, you know, they force the children into the militaries, into these militias, and the children get brainwashed. And by the time these kids are adults, they're like cold-blooded killers. Like, you know, pretty much, they're ruthless. Anytime the warlord tells them to kill somebody, they'll kill that person. Anytime the warlord tells them to, like, cut off somebody's hand, they'll do it. So, like, you know, when they're first in the militia, they might not do that, but eventually over time they get used to it, and they get brainwashed into it, and they become basically obedient soldiers to the warlord in the end. And that's how it happens. It's the brainwashing of these militias. What do you think of the Peaky Blinders show? I don't know what that is. Thank you, Insult. Oh, and the one guy that was asking about the rap lyrics. If you're still here, I'll answer your question. I'm sorry, I got a little into a conversation.
We sell.
Ridiculous how bots are promoting drugs now. Yeah. I've been banning them as much as I can. Hey, Pro, how can I deal with crazy NPC traffic drivers while doing import-export? They always cause me to lose money while selling. It's frustrating. Maybe try to go off-road, or try to take like the parking ramp on like the highway. Try to take that. That's like one way you can avoid it. Thank you, nicest person. That guy that was asking me about the rap lyrics, is he still here? I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. I was just a lot of people that were asking me stuff. Can we sell somebody's acid lab, by the way, if possible? I just wanted to help somebody sell a few acid labs too. We'll sell my acid lab. Let's see here. Did I miss his comment here? Oh, Expedition posted. He said he posted it. Oh, let's see if I can find it here still. Oh, I can't scroll up anymore. Yeah, I don't see Expedition's comment. Expedition, are you still here, man? Didn't the Japanese use the daughters and wives of kidnapped enemy soldiers as their playthings during World War II? Yes. Yes, there was women were chained and taken as sex slaves. That the Japanese army did do that. It was very brutal. They did that in China. Did it in a lot of countries where they invaded, but it was very common where it happened in China. It was, you know, the Japanese were just very brutal against civilians. There's actually some historical pictures that you can see of Japanese soldiers going into hospitals in China and just killing anybody that was in the hospital. Like, they would kill people who were, you know, wounded soldiers who were in the hospital, and you can't do that. That's a war crime. But it was the Japanese, you know, Japanese army didn't care about that. Yes, Malaysia too. The Japanese occupied Malaysia as well, Roshan. Bro, is Saints Row 2 better than San Andreas? I think so. I like San Andreas also, but, why do people cover their face when they go to court? Shame. They don't want to be caught on camera. Thank you, Dev Star. Is Expedition still here? I feel really bad. I wasn't able to answer his question before. What makes you think Ralph is the most evil Sopranos character instead of Tony? Because Ralph did way more damage. You know, Lydia Soprano was evil, I will agree with you that. But Johnny Soprano didn't really play that much of a role in The Sopranos. In the Many Saints of Newark, he played a much greater role. But he didn't play that much of a role in the movie, because in the TV show, because it's just flashbacks of him. When I'm talking about, like, the characters, Ralph did the most damage. Like, you know, was it like when Ralph killed Tracy? Like, you know, Ralph killed Tracy, and then he acted like she was at fault, like it was nothing, and then he got angry at Tony just for punching him over it. Like, you know, I would say that Ralph is like one of the most disgusting human beings on that show. Is Ralph a psychopath? No. Ralph's not a psychopath. He's just, you know, extreme sociopath. The reason that Ralph's not a psychopath is because Ralph was visibly upset when his kid had gotten hurt. A psychopath wouldn't have gotten upset by that. But when it comes to everyone else that's not in his family, they're all just, you know, they're all just fair game for Ralph. Ralph wasn't in the wrong. He was a made man. Well, you're going by the Mafia code in that. Basically, a made man's life is more important than anybody else's life, according to Mafia code. But the thing is, though, I don't care about the made men code or anything like that. I don't care about that. I think the made men code and the America and all that, I think it's stupid. And I'll tell you, I think Ralph was, you know, out of line on that. Ralph was the, I hated Tony. I did. Like, you know, throughout the show, like, I liked the Sopranos, and I liked Tony as a character, but I hated him also. And it was just, I think that James Gandolfini played, like, the perfect mob boss in the Sopranos. I don't think anybody will ever play a better mob boss than James Gandolfini did. But, about it is, one of the few good things that Tony did is I was completely on Tony's side. When Tony beat the crap out of Ralph, I was completely on Tony's side on that, 100%. And also, when Tony killed Ralph, I did not care about that at all. I thought Ralph deserved it and had it coming. So that was like, but yeah, it was, you know, Ralph, he didn't kill Ralph over the Tracy thing. He killed Ralph mostly over the horse at that point. But, you know, Ralph still deserved it. So it was just, you know, all the bad things that Ralph did and all the chaos he caused. What do you think of the Fargo TV show? Oh, I loved Fargo, the TV show. Like, Fargo is like the best gangster TV show that I've seen in years. Like, it was a really good one. Like, Fargo shows the Midwestern gangsters, which aren't shown a lot in, like, the media. And it did a pretty good depiction of it, too. And if you want to know, Lorne Malvo in Fargo is a psychopath. He is. 100% he is a psychopath. And honestly, like, Lord Malvo is way scarier than Trevor. I personally think he's way worse than Trevor, and I think he's way scarier than Trevor, the main bad guy in Fargo. Way worse than Trevor. It's a scary world with all these people there, yeah. But also, everyone has to understand that you're personally responsible for your own safety. And that's the thing, is police can't always be there to protect you, but there's really bad people, like, there's really bad people out there in the world, and, you know, you gotta watch out for them, unfortunately. Did Expedition ever reply? Let me see. Did he? Expedition, let's see. Expedition, he might have left. I'm really sorry. If you ever come back, Expedition, I'm really sorry I wasn't able to answer your question on the rap story. What 10 missions I have to do in GTA? Thank you, Terry. The 10 missions that you would do in GTA is you would do the, what is it? The 10 missions that you would be doing is the Dax Fooligan missions. Those are the missions. Oh, Judge used rap lyrics. Okay, wait. One person posted in a super chat. Judge used rap lyrics to say YSL Music Label is a gang charged with racketeering, and used the rap music, which they admitted to, against them. He used the rap lyrics to prove that they were a gang. That was that. Using the rap lyrics to prove that they are a gang. Is that, can they do that? That's like the thin line at that point. That's the thin line. Because the lawyer, I don't know how that case went. I don't know how that case went. But what else? Here's what else my opinion on it. Can they use, if somebody is singing a song, right? Can they use that person's song again to incriminate them? Can they do that? The reason that it's a thin line is because music is fictional. That's what it is. Sometimes people write songs about, like, things that happen in real life, but oftentimes music is fictional. If there's, like, characters in it or something like that, it's fictional. And so people are, like, and a lot of rappers put on that thing. A lot of rappers say, they're gangsters and stuff like that, but they're not actual gangsters. And so, I can imagine the guy's lawyer would probably say, this is a song. This is not meant to be taken seriously. That's probably what the lawyer would say. That's what I would say, but I wouldn't defend a criminal. So, but I don't know if the guy was a criminal. I'm assuming he is, because you're telling me this. So I'd have to read more on the case. But that's what a smart lawyer would typically say that in that case. They would say that this is a song. This is not meant to be taken seriously. That this is not admissible as evidence. If they did convict the guy, I don't know how the case went. Did the super chat answer it? Did he get convicted? Somebody tell me in the comments if he got convicted. But what did he do exactly? What was his crime? Like, I want to know more about this case. Let me know more. What was the case is still ongoing? Oh, it is. Oh, there's a huge chance the case could fail. The case could fail then. There's a very strong chance of it failing, definitely. But what is he being charged with? What's the crime? Somebody let me know. Racketeering and drug trafficking. If there's racketeering, it depends on what kind of racketeering, but there's probably going to be witnesses to this. The police are definitely not going to be using the rap lyrics as their only, like, source of evidence. Like, definitely not. The prosecutor is not going to bring out just the rap lyrics. That case would fail so quickly if it was just the rap lyrics. It would get thrown out immediately. The judge would probably say, "Are you stupid?" But you're telling me he's admitted the rap lyrics. Here's what I'll say about it: is the prosecutor, the burden of proof is on the prosecutor. What burden of proof basically is evidence. So whoever has the burden of proof has to prove something. And in this case, the prosecutor has the burden of proof to prove that this rapper guy had, committed drug trafficking and extortion. And so the prosecutor has the burden of proof. He has to prove that the lyrics are proof of his crimes. If he admitted to specific crimes in the lyrics, he might be able to use that. It might work, technically. If he can prove this lyric is proof of this crime specifically, and he can link it, that might actually work. But he can't just use the lyrics as his only, only source of evidence, because people rap about stuff all the time. People rap about shootings and killing each other all the time, and you can't really use that as evidence. It doesn't really work that way. If you can tie it to if you can tie a song to a specific crime and you can prove it, maybe you could use it, but it's still the thin line. It's still very hard because music is fictional. It would be if he's rapping. If he raps, I'll give you guys an example. If he raps about getting a gun, right? He raps about getting a gun and shooting somebody. If he doesn't name anybody, if he just if he just raps about just getting a gun and shooting somebody, versus if he gets caught in a wiretap, like we were talking about wiretaps earlier. If he gets caught in wiretap saying that he's getting a gun, he's gonna shoot somebody, that is literally way more evidence. The wiretap is way more evidence because it's him saying something freely on his own will. The music of him saying that he's gonna get a gun and he's gonna shoot somebody, that's just a song. That's just something he's making as a song. It's very vague. So it's not something that you can really press charges on somebody like that. You might be able to tie a crime to it if you really try, but it's very hard to do it. So they can't just use rap lyrics as their only evidence. They have to have something. The prosecutor definitely has to have more to this case, because that's gonna be. I'm gonna tell you, if they're just using the rap lyrics, it's gonna fail. That guy's gonna walk free. I don't know, but is this guy guilty? Let me know in the comments, because I don't. This is the first time I'm hearing about this case, but now it has me interested to read more about this. But I know I know it's guilty until proven innocent. But do you guys think this guy is guilty? Anybody knows about this case? Is he actually guilty? Do you guys think he did it or not? Is it, did he actually do it? Let's see here, yeah, he did. Most people are saying that they think he did it. He's guilty, serving 20 years, 2 members told him. First time here. Hey, Jimmy. So yeah, we're gonna have to see where this case goes, but that's ridiculous. Trying to use a song as, proof against that, that's the thin line. That's I'm not really saying they can't do that, but I'm not really saying they can do that either. It's very debatable. So that's really crossing the thin line in court. That is a very hard subject. But what I'll tell you guys is, do you guys know what the most ridiculous piece of evidence that I've ever seen used in court was? There was one case that I read about, and it's the most ridiculous piece of evidence used. It wasn't the only evidence they used in court, but it was an actual evidence. So, they actually got a parrot to testify. Like, you know the bird? The parrot. They got a parrot to testify. That actually happened in court. I'm not joking. This is not something Ace Attorney, because in Ace Attorney that happens also. But in real life, there was one case where they actually got a parrot to technically testify, and it actually worked as evidence. And basically how that worked is that, yes, go on Google and look this up. Look it up, parrot testifying, and you'll actually find the case pretty quickly. That actually happened. But basically, when parrots talk, because parrots do talk, but when they talk, they don't understand what they're saying. They're just repeating what they heard. But it's what the parrot was repeating that was very important. Basically what happened was, this guy had gotten killed at his house. And he was shot to death by his girlfriend, his ex-wife, ex-girlfriend. It was like somebody that he was in a former relationship with, like, and so she went to his house and she shot him. And literally, the last thing that he said before he died is he was saying, like, please don't shoot me, and he said his girlfriend's name. And literally, the parrot remembered all of that. And so the parrot was just repeating that. The parrot was repeating that same thing to the police. And the parrot just kept saying the same line, you know, please don't shoot me, this person's name. And that's how they got that person. And that was, I know it's ridiculous, but that actually happened. That was like an actual case. And it's just, you know, I don't know if that happened before or after the Ace Attorney, but in Ace Attorney, there's one case in the game where you have to bring in the parrot to testify. And that would not work in court. Like, you know, you try to get a parrot to testify, the judge is gonna be like, hell no. But like in this case, the parrot was repeating the murderer's name and was repeating the last words that the victim said. And so that technically is admissible as evidence, because if you can, basically, I can imagine that the police probably brought in an animal expert. That's probably what they did. They probably brought an animal expert to testify. And the only people who can testify about opinions, because opinions can be used as testimony in court, but the only people who are allowed to testify on opinions are experts. So experts are the only people who are allowed to give their opinion in court when they're testifying. And so I would have to read up the case again, but I would imagine the police probably brought in an animal expert. And the animal expert probably said, in my personal opinion, that, like, you know, parrots can repeat what humans say, and they mimic what humans say. And that's what they use. They didn't use that as the only evidence. They had other evidence against this woman, but that was like one of the evidences was the parrot. So that was like an actual thing. It was just that. No, Ace Attorney is like Ace Attorney is a game where you play as a lawyer and you're like defending people. That's pretty much what it's what it is. Murder Incorporated? No, I don't know what that is. About the Cadaverines, minor characters from Trials and Tribulations, and original characters were relatives and members of this mafia. Oh, I was thinking of Tony the Parrot from GTA San Andreas. Yeah, the parrot repeats lines from Scarface. And it's fine, Eugene. It's fine. It's okay. What's the capital of Serbia? Belgrade, I believe it is. Have I seen Sons of Anarchy? I know the show, but I don't, I haven't watched it. Thank you, Edgy. Were you satisfied with the Sopranos ending? Yeah, I think it was fine. I remember when that ending first happened. Like, people thought their TVs glitched out when that ending first happened. I remember that. I was fine with the ending because it's like up to interpretation. Everyone has their own interpretation of it. So I think that it's, I'm fine with it, personally. I'm not ignoring people. I'm trying to help as many people as I can. Harry from Home Alone, a psychopath? What? No, I don't think so. Can we sell some of these acid lab if possible? I'm gonna, okay, I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna try to help sell a few more things. Trio, you gotta invite me to your MC first. Favorite and least favorite South Park character. It's, my favorite character would probably be Kenny. Least favorite character on South Park, who would it be? I don't know, like, all the characters are, oh, Max Lab? Okay, then just sell it without me, then, it's not that big of a deal. Does anyone else need help selling something? Invite me, then, okay, let's see here. What the? Okay. I mean, Cartman is like, you know, yes, I don't like Cartman. Yes, I would agree with that. You know, he's a very nasty character, but he's a very well-written character, too, because, you know, Cartman is just, like, a very selfish, you know, person, very selfish, very racist person. He's made, you know, he's made for you guys to, you know, dislike him. He's designed to be a dislikable character. I thought that people were more talking about a character that was written for you to like him, but you don't like him. That's what I thought more hated. But yes, Cartman was, you know, specifically designed to be hated. Okay. Okay, watch out for the undercover cops. The undercover cops in this, Pearson, I really hope that you're listening to me on the stream, but this mission has undercover cops in it. A lot of people don't know about... Now, look, this is one of the reasons why my Acid Lab money guide is taking so long. This is one of the reasons. Because people don't test missions. People rush guides out really quickly because they just want to get it out as soon as possible. And so I don't like that personally. I like to test things, but some of these places have undercover cops hidden in them. And you have to look for them. Oh, there they are. See? See, yo, there's the undercover cops. And so when people are saying it doesn't matter where you place the acid, it does matter where you place the acid. If you place the acid right here, the undercover cop is gonna spot you. You want to place the acid away from the cop. Like right here would be safe. Like here would be safe. The cop can't get you here. But if you there's a bad spot in it. Oh, I can't. Okay, Pearson. Okay, he placed it over there. Okay, yeah. So you see, no cops. So you can complete this mission with getting no cops, but at each destination point, you need to look for the undercover cop because there's out of the 5 locations, there's 5 locations. 3 of them have undercover cops. 2 of them have nobody. So in 2 of them it doesn't matter, but in 3 of them they have undercover cops. I actually think this is a pretty cool cell mission. I actually like this cell mission, having to look for the undercover cop. And the thing about the undercover cop is the locations are randomized. So sometimes the undercover cop is there, sometimes he's not. And I've sold to multiple locations, and sometimes I've sold at the same location, and I've had undercover cops, other times I haven't. So you gotta look for them, it's randomized each time. And I think this is a pretty cool cell mission. I like this cell mission because of that. So you got the idea there, Pearson, you got the idea, you know what you're doing. Literally, at each drop point, I'm gonna get D, you get the other ones, and just look for the cops. Sometimes the cop is there, sometimes he's not. Okay, I guess he's got this one here. Let's see here. Is there an undercover cop here? You're good, Pearson. Place it wherever you want. But this is exactly right here. I got C. Don't go to C, I got that one. This is exactly the reason on why I say, though. You have to take your time with guides. You can't just rush guides out. Because, like, I haven't heard... Have you heard anybody else talk about this, guys? Because I've been testing this mission. I've been testing the cell missions. And this is one thing I found while testing the cell missions, is that they have undercover cops hidden in them. And it depends on where you place it, that you'll get the cops. So, when people are telling you, oh, it doesn't matter where you place the acid, it's not true. It's, let's see here. Let's see here. Is there an undercover cop hiding here? Let's take a look. Gotta look carefully around. When you can't tell if there's an undercover cop, try to place it in the area where you're the least likely to be seen. Okay, so there's no... No undercover cop here. Okay. Safe to place it. How much have you spent on your cosplays? Hundreds of dollars. I'm not even joking on that. Yeah, over the last 2 years that I've been cosplaying, because I've been cosplaying for about 2 years on like different playthroughs, it's probably been at least over $1,000 at least. Like, you know, all the different clothes that I've been, you know, purchasing. Sometimes some of the clothes that I buy are like so expensive that it's literally I don't make my money back from the playthrough until like weeks later, so I might be negative. So sometimes the clothes that I buy are like so expensive that they might be more than I won't make my money back right away on the playthroughs. Like, it'll be weeks. Sometimes I'll make my money back within a few days on this money that I spent on the outfits, but other times it'll take like weeks. Like the most expensive cosplay that I had, where I made like the least amount of money back, was SOCOM. Like, if you watch my SOCOM playthroughs, I had like some tactical stuff on SOCOM. And, you know, SOCOM didn't get that many views compared to my other playthroughs, so it took me, like, many weeks to get my money back on that. But I didn't regret it, even though I never regretted it, because I wanted to make my playthrough authentic. I wanted to look like a Navy SEAL, and that's ultimately, you know, why I had that, there. The Modern Warfare 2 outfits, like, if you watch me play Call of Duty, the Call of Duty outfits were not cheap. Those were expensive. Like, it was, like, a lot of the military vests that I wore on, like, the Call of Duty playthroughs, they were $60, $70. So it was like, those were not, you know, like $20, you know, cheap vests. The cheapest vest that I had is like one of them, like in the past, is like $20, but I had that like years. Like, a lot of the other ones are kind of expensive. So that was about. Hope that answered the question of my cosplays. The most expensive cosplay that I have, the one that I spent the most amount of money on, was the Aiden Pierce one, Watch Dogs. Like the Watch Dogs Aiden Pierce jacket, the Watch Dogs Aiden Pierce hat, and the bandana. Like, that whole thing together was like it was like close to $200, I believe, for that whole outfit. So it was just that. But I don't regret the money I spent on the cosplays. I don't. I don't regret it because I want to make my playthroughs authentic, and I want to make them as unique as possible. And so one of the things I want to do is I want to, like, you know, dress up as the characters, and that's, you know, that's something I like to do personally. Here, thank you, Deep Star, the super chat. See here. Thank you, Jimmy. How do I feel about the railgun coming to GT Online? Thank you, True Infamous. Oh, Riley needs help too now. Okay. Yeah, how I feel about the railgun coming to GT Online, I think it's stupid. I do. Like, you know, people are saying that, oh, it's cool, but my main concern with the railgun isn't, I don't even think that, I'm not concerned with it being overpowered. That's not what my main concern is. My main concern is that it ruins the immersion of GT Online. That's what I think it does. Because every single time I see something futuristic thrown into this game, they're ruining the lore of GTA for me. Like, I'm a big lore guy, and so it's ruining the realism and the thing of GTA. Like, it's like how can I tell people that GTA 4 and GTA Online are in the same universe, when in GTA 4 it's like a dark, you know, criminal underworld storyline, and then GTA Online it's like you're flying motorcycles with missiles. Like, you know, how can I tell people GTA 4 and GTA 5 take place in the same universe? So that's ultimately what my problem is. It's not the problem with the thing being overpowered, it's the problem that I don't think has a place in GTA Online. It's this futuristic, like some railgun thing, and I just don't want to see it in the game. That's just ultimately my problem with it personally. It's not about it being overpowered. That is, you know, part of it. Can I please drive one of the bikes, by the way? Here. It's not, it's ultimately like, ow, yeah. It's ultimately about that. I just think it ruins the immersion. But like, let me ask you guys. Did you guys know about that tip that I told you guys about with the undercover cop? I bet a lot of you guys didn't know about that. And you know, that's why I say, like, that's why I always take my time on guides, so I don't rush guides, because I want to test everything. And yeah, well, good thing you didn't get spotted by him, Kirsten. I have the same cell missions 3 times, and sometimes they're in a car, and sometimes there's one smoking. Well, I haven't seen the one that was smoking. That I haven't seen. But I'll keep an eye out for that in the future. Thank you for telling me, True Infamous 73. Thank you, DL Gaming. I'll check in a little bit. I missed a super chat of yours. Favorite color's orange. Console on PS5. Okay, let's see here. Were any of your ancestors affected by the Holocaust? As far as I know, thankfully no one was, no one died during it. As far as I know, none of my family members did die during World War II. But I do know, my great-grandfather, he had fought in the Italian campaign during World War II, and my grandmother, when she was a child, she was just a child during World War II. When she was a child, German soldiers forced their way into their home, and what they basically did was they just ransacked the house for food. So they just took a bunch of food from the house. They ended up cooking food, so they used like the stove and stuff, and they cooked food, and then afterwards they left, and that was it. They didn't kill them, but it was they forced their way in the home. They took a bunch of stuff, and that was like that did happen to. They lived in kind of like, I guess it would be a village, you would call it, but it was drop off. Man, this is so far. No, I'm not. No, I'm not Jewish. There's a. My family is my family is a mix of like different religions. My family is mostly like Catholic. Like I would say like part of my family is like I would say it's like 60-70% of my family is Catholic, and then I would say like 20% of my family is like atheist, and then like 10% of my family is Muslim. So it's like my family religions are just all over the place. Let's see, drop-offs here. Okay. Can you answer my question? What's your question? You have a big or a small family? In America, my family is tiny. In America, my whole family is literally just my mom, my dad, and my uncle and aunt. That's it. Nobody else really. In Poland, the family is massive. There's like a lot of cousins I have and stuff. But I'm not close to any of my family. I don't talk to any of my family in Poland. Very, very little. They don't even know what I do for a living. So that's like, when I did my first acid sale, I got orbed after I'd done 4 out of the 10 drops. I still, got paid for what I've done, even though I closed my app. Oh, well, thank you, Mario. Yeah, it's the unfortunate thing that stuff like that does happen. Thank you for the super chat. There's nothing wrong with a female protagonist. I'm actually happy that GTA, that GTA 6 is a female protagonist as well. I think anybody who's upset over a female protagonist, I think is an idiot. Like, I don't see what the big deal is. Like, I think it's actually cool. We get to see a different perspective. So that's just... Oh, I'm not Muslim. I have family members who are Muslim. Like my grandmother was Muslim, and I have a few, cousins who are Muslim in Poland. But like, you know, people are generally like very surprised by that, because I tell them that I'm Polish and I have, you know, my grandmother was Muslim and a lot of people that are Muslim in my family. But the reason that that's a thing is because I'm 75% Slavic and I'm 25% Tatar. The Tatar people, they're people that actually came from Central Asia, and they came into Poland like hundreds of years ago. They settled in Poland hundreds of years ago, and so a lot of them were of the Islamic faith. And so that's why there's you know, there's also a Muslim community in Poland because of that. But my grandmother was like 100% Tatar, like she wasn't Slavic at all. She was a Polish Tatar. My father, he's 50% Slavic and 50% Tatar. But I'm not, you know, I'm not religious. I'm not, you know, I'm not any religion, really. I'm an agnostic. So I don't take a side, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not an atheist, but I'm not, you know, I'm not of any really religion. I do generally believe in, like, I like to believe that there's some kind of God, but, you know, I don't know at the same time. I see the possibility of there being none either, also, so that's... And it really has nothing to do with my family, because a huge chunk of my family is atheist, but it really has nothing to do with my family on that. It's more about like it's more about just me looking at, like, you know, just trying to figure things out personally. That's just me, my views on religion personally. It's nothing to do with my family. Let's see here. Will you ever do the Sopranos game? Yes, I'm planning on doing the Sopranos game. Hey, Pro, did your parents ever talk about what it was like in Poland during communism, or what the communism before the Polish Solidarity Party won power in 1989? What I'll say about that is, my parents, you know, my parents are like, what countries would you like to visit in the future? I'd like to visit Hokkaido, Japan one day. My parents, in regards to, oh damn, crashing here, messing up. No, it's not what I want to do right now.
Cocksucker.
Oh my god.
You're gonna be fucked up. I'm gonna make sure.
Oh, come on. This is stupid. Now he tripped over my bike, too. Okay. Now, about, like, a person was asking me earlier, what was the question again? I'm just losing my track of thought. The Solidarity Movement, right? Okay, so my parents had grown up under communism, and so my parents, you know, my parents constantly tell me, like, about, like, what the system was like, you know, their experiences and stuff, and, you know, my parents have a very, very negative view of communism. You know, I had one family member who was a communist. You know, they passed away, like, you know, years ago. But I had like one family member that was an actual communist, and they thought that, like, America was this evil, you know, capitalistic place, and just, you know, they would constantly rant about capitalism. So it was only one family member that was, I had only one family member that was a communist. They weren't a member of a party or anything, like the party or anything. They just identified as a communist, so they weren't like a cop or anything. They just viewed themselves as a communist. But there was this one family member, and that family member, you know, they were old. That's how they passed away. But it was just constant arguments, and it was just very, not a good relationship. You know, my parents' views of communism personally is just very negative. You know, very like, you know, not good. Like, my parents would tell me how they had very little food to eat because under communism, the government would basically ration everything. You'd have a ration card, and they would tell you, like, you know, how much, like, they would tell you how much meat and milk you can buy in, like, a week. And just because you have the ration card doesn't mean you're guaranteed the food. Because when you go to the supermarket or the store where they're selling it, they don't always have everything in stock. And so and you have to wait, like, 5 o'clock in the morning, you have to wait in, like, the cold for the truck to come, and then, like, everybody's fighting over that one can on the shelf. That's, like, what communism was like in Poland. It wasn't a very good thing. And literally, the communists would use so much propaganda in Poland, like, it was every single time something went wrong in Poland, like, every single time something was bad. The economy was bad, people were hungry, every single time something went bad, the government would just blame the U.S. They're like, oh, it's the Americans' fault. It was always just the Americans' fault. Blah blah blah. This, it was always the American. Never taking personal responsibility. It was always the Americans' fault. That's what the communist government would always do. They would always deflect, and they would try to blame the U.S. for everything. There was one season where there was like crops. A lot of the crops were destroyed by like insects. So there's like a lot of insects that destroyed the crops in Poland. And what happened was the communists were just blaming the U.S. for like bringing bugs into Poland when there was no proof of that. So there was just you know, that was very common. My dad was always like my dad and my mom are very how would I say it? They hate wasting anything. Like my parents are, you know, when it comes to conserving things, they conserve everything. Like my parents aren't cheap people by any means, but when it comes to conserving stuff, like my dad and my mom, like my dad for instance will try to conserve gas. Like he won't refuse to drive to places, but like, you know, he tries to absolutely his best to conserve gas. And he tells me a lot of times, he's like he tells me that when you see a red light at like a distance, he says, like, you know, don't drive, you know, normal speed towards the red light. He's like, drive slowly towards the red light, and then the red light will turn green and you'll save a little bit of gas. It's like what my dad was. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know much about cars, but that's always what my dad said. He's like if you see a red light, don't, at a distance, you're at a distance driving, he said to drive slowly towards it and like wait until it eventually turns green. And then when it turns green, you're still driving the car, you haven't stopped, and it saves a little bit of gas. Okay. I don't know if that actually works or not, but that's what my dad would always do. My mom and my dad are both very, you know, picky when it comes to, you know, wasting food. Like my dad is the pickiest when it comes to that. My mom does it too, but let me see. Collect the acid. Where is it? Oh, let me please drive one of the bikes. I'll take one of the bikes. So what my mom and my dad do, like when I was a kid, I was told to eat everything. Like I was told to eat everything, and if I didn't eat everything, I'd get yelled at. And so my parents would then, like, they wouldn't abuse me or anything. It was never like that, but they would get really upset if I didn't eat everything. And so it was that if I didn't eat something and I just couldn't, my parents would put it in the fridge. Like they would never throw food out unless it was like really, like, you know, bad. And the reason that my parents were like that, they had that attitude, specifically my dad, is because when my dad grew up, you know, from what I heard, my grandfather, I never met him. Like, I knew my mom's dad, but my dad's dad, I never knew him. And from what I heard, like, my dad still tells me that he loved his dad, but my dad's dad was not there all the time for him. And, you know, from what I know, you know, he talked of, you know, he didn't have the best upbringing with his dad. And so my dad was expected to do a lot of the stuff in his house because my dad had 2 other brothers, and he was the oldest brother. And so my dad had to do everything for his 2 younger brothers. He had to get food for them, he had to cook for them because his dad was not always around. And so he had to, you know, do a lot of stuff. And so my dad, you know, had to wake up in the morning, he had to go to the store, he had to then cook breakfast for all of his brothers, he had to take care of them. And that's, you know, the type of attitude that my dad grew up with. It's like, he's like, you don't waste anything, you finish any food you start, you finish it. And my dad always says, he's like, don't eat with your eyes. That's what my dad says. He always said that, don't eat with your eyes. He says it to me in Polish. He says, nie jedz swoje oczy, which that means don't eat with your eyes. And what he basically means is don't eat with your eyes, is he means don't cook too much food that you can't eat. That's basically what it means, don't eat with your eyes. Because it means that you look at food and you think you're going to eat more than you actually are, and then you get full really quickly. So that's all what he meant with that. But that's what it was. They would always conserve stuff, and it was because when and like, you know, some people might think that that's a bit extreme. Like, my parents aren't like the extreme cheapskates. Like the extreme cheapskates people, like those, my parents aren't close to them. But my parents are, like, you know, very, when it comes to, you know, food and stuff like that, they don't waste anything. They're pretty strict with that. And it was primarily because when they were growing up, they had nothing. They had barely any food to get by. And it was, you know, they had to eat what they had. And that was ultimately, they learned to conserve everything, and that's, you know, that was their whole attitude. That was their whole view on that. Ultimately what it was about. But yeah, my parents, when they tell me about communism, it was like, you know, it was just really bad in general. You know, are you an only child? No, I have a half-brother and a half-sister. But I don't have good relations with them. My mom, I remember, she did say once, she told me that the only good thing about communism, that's what my mom said, she said the only good thing about communism is that you didn't have to pay for the doctor. That was the only thing that my mom, remember, she told me once. She said it was the only good thing was you didn't have to pay for the doctor, but she said everything else was crap. She said there was no food in the store, you couldn't make any money, you couldn't do anything. But that was the only, thing that she ever said that was good. But, my mom despised the system as well, so she didn't like it by any means. But that was just, what my mom said about it. My dad despised everything. There was nothing, you guys want to know something is one of the reasons that there was actually a famine in Poland was because when the Olympics were actually in Moscow, when the Olympics were in Moscow, the Soviet Union actually took food from Poland, and they stole food from Poland because Poland was a satellite state of theirs. And a lot of the farms were better quality in Poland than they were in the Soviet Union. That's primarily why they were taking food from Poland. And like Poland has like Poland has been rated as like the country that, for example, that has like the best apples in the world. So Poland has like, some really fresh and good produce. It's like a very agricultural country, and the farms are very rich. And that's why, whenever another country would invade Poland, they almost always stole food from the farms, because the Polish produce was just so good. But it was that, one of the reasons that the famine that happened in Poland was because the Soviets were actually stealing food when there was the Olympics in Moscow. And you know what I find extremely ironic about that? What I find extremely ironic is, who do communists hate the most? Communists hate imperialists the most. That's who communists typically hate. Communists rant about imperialists. They constantly say, imperialist this, imperialist that, blah, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong, imperialism is a bad thing. I don't support imperialism. It's, a bad thing. But I'm just saying is that communists constantly rant about imperialism, and they constantly accuse everything of being imperialist when something might not necessarily be imperialist. And yet, the definition of imperialism is literally when one country goes into another country and steals its resources and takes advantage of another country. That's what imperialism is. It's basically, think of colonialism. You think of another country forces its way into another country and takes its resources. It takes its resources by food and takes advantage of the country. And ironically, what the Soviets did when they took all the food from Poland, that was imperialism. So yes, the Soviet Union was an imperial empire. So even though they ranted about imperialism so much, what they did to Poland when they stole all the food from the Polish farms, that was imperialism. And that's like, it's not imperialism when we do it, right? That's how the communists viewed it. It's not imperialism when we do it. So it was just, communists were very hypocritical on this. So I don't care if it's, if it's a communist or if it's like some colonizer from like some Western European monarch. Like regardless, you come into another country and you steal its stuff, you're an imperialist. Doesn't matter if you're a communist or not. So it's just, good channel. Thank you, Nick. Oh, there's an undercover cop here, too, see? Right there, hidden. I just subscribed because of Jackknife. Who? Jackknife? Wait, isn't that like another YouTuber? Let me see, I'd have to look up. Who's Jackknife? Jackknife? Oh, Jackknife Finnegan. Okay, yeah, I know who he is. Yeah, I know him. I'm sorry, I was just a bit confused by the name Jackknife. But no, I know Jack. He stopped by my channel a few times. He's a good guy. So it's, yeah, I know Jack. I don't know him personally, but I was sorry, it's a bit confused by the name. You always teach us new things, so thank you. Okay, we got a hanger to sell here. What does your dad think of you being a YouTuber? Basically, what is it? Let me see, did I miss any comments, by the way? Good channel, thank you, Nick. My parents don't fully understand, they don't fully understand, what I do for a living. I guess that, I guess it's technology and it's new to them. Like, my parents know that obviously know that I do work. They know that I don't do nothing. But it's, they don't fully understand it exactly. Or, what happens. Not that they're not supportive. They just don't, I just would say they just don't understand YouTube. That's just what I'll say about that. Like, my dad, for instance, my dad has recently got into YouTube. And he watches YouTube, like, you know, he watches YouTube like a lot. Like he sits on his computer and he's so fascinated by YouTube and like watching all the different videos. But my dad, even though he got into YouTube maybe like a year or two ago, he started watching it. He doesn't have like a channel or anything. He just watches random videos. But he mostly watches the news and he watches like the historical documentaries. He doesn't really watch my channel, and the reason he doesn't really watch my channel is because he just doesn't like video games. It's not that he's not proud of me. He just doesn't like video games. That's just what it's about. He has watched some of my videos though. He has watched the videos, whenever I did the videos with like the North Yankton video, like he liked that video a lot and he really liked it. But he didn't, he watched that video because it wasn't video games primarily. It was me just showing the real life, like, you know, North Dakota and stuff like that. That was about it. I'm here. No, my dad doesn't even have a YouTube channel. He doesn't even have a YouTube channel. He just watches random videos. Yeah, this is not a good mission. This mission here. Yeah, keep the helicopters away, please. Do you watch anime? Oh yeah, I watch anime. But I am extremely picky when it comes to watching anime. The type of anime that I like is I like anime that's generally set in like a historical period or like something modern. I don't like anime anything that when it comes to here's how I think about it. When it comes to anime that has robots in it, anything with robots or anything with magic, I can't watch. So any like mech stuff or like magic stuff, I can't watch that. The type of anime that I like is I like 91 Days, for instance. 91 Days is like a Mafia anime in the 1920s. Like, it takes place around Chicago, where they're like smuggling alcohol and stuff like that. Nothing, you know, no magic or anything, just gangster Mafia. I like that one a lot. I like Golden Kamuy, which that's probably my favorite anime, which that takes place after the Russo-Japanese War in 1907 in Hokkaido. It's like 7 years before World War I. So I like that one a lot. I like what did I like also? I liked Angels of Death. Angels of Death, I like that one because Angels of Death reminded me a lot of Outlast. Like I like Outlast like a lot, like the horror game running around the camera. I like that game a lot. And so Angels of Death reminded me a lot of that. Angels of Death is basically this anime where there's this girl who wakes up in like this abandoned building, and she doesn't know how she got in the building, and like every floor in the building has like a different serial killer, and that's like the story behind that. So it's like I like that one. That I didn't even think that anime was scary, but I did like that one too. What other ones did I like? I like Joker Game, which Joker Game was a World War II spy anime. So it was like every episode was like a different spy, and so it's like a different part of the war. It was like the Pacific, the Eastern Front, the France. So it was like I like that one specifically. It was about spies during World War II. That one was good too. Does your dad think video games waste time? Oh yes, 100%. I love my dad. Don't get me wrong, but yes, he does definitely think video games are a waste of time. He tells me though that I'm successful on that. Even though he doesn't like video games, he tells me that the reason I'm successful on YouTube is because he says this is a young person's thing, and he says it's something that you're good at, and other young people like it. That's what he said. He's not saying that in an insulting manner. He's proud of me, but he's just, you know, he says that this is primarily like a young person's thing. I don't understand, and that's you know what he says. My dad is 73, by the way, so it's you know, that's what he says about it. Okay. Put this over here. Where am I gonna go now? I love the Criminal Underworld, Black Lagoon. Oh yeah, Black Lagoon. That one, I watched Black Lagoon. I saw the whole thing too. That one was really good too. I like that one. Why does your dad not like video games? Because he's just not into it. I'm 28. How much of a cut does YouTube take from you? Well, I don't know how much of a cut they take from ad revenue, because ad revenue is just what I get. But when it comes to super chats, they take 30% of super chats. So whatever the super chat is, YouTube takes 30% of that generally. Thank you, James58. But guys, if you see my charities though, that when I run charity streams and charity campaigns, charities are good to donate to, because charities, YouTube does not take anything from that. So just know that when there's a charity on YouTube, I'm not even talking about my channel, but like if you ever see a charity link on YouTube, YouTube cannot take anything from that. So 100% always goes to the charity, just so people know that. But super chats they take 30% of. Who's your favorite James Bond actor? Mine's Roger Moore. I don't actually know a lot of the I don't know a lot of the actors a lot. I know Sean Connery, but I don't actually know a lot of the actors in it. Mario, thank you for the super chat. I guess after this we'll probably end the stream here. Get something to eat. Man, what a long mission. Yeah, this is one of the worst missions. And guys, let's just ditch the plane. We don't need to, after we deliver everything, we don't need to land it back, because I know some of them you can land back. Isn't this like a World War II British plane, I think, right? This thing? I don't know aircraft that well, like I said. I know World War II firearms much better. Yes, my Acid Lab money guide will be tonight. So just check around tonight, you'll see it. It'll be out tonight. Okay, last drop, let's hit it. YouTube takes a 45% cut from ad revenue? Really? I didn't know it was that much, damn. I didn't know it was that much. Wow. That's way more than I thought it was, JM. Are you into web designing? Not really. No, I don't really even know much about that type of stuff. It's a World War II Beechcraft Model 15, I think. Oh, okay. Are you intimidating? No, at least I don't think so. I have a game hack. I have it a few ranges. What do you mean, Jonathan? Yes, they're defending themselves. Okay. Oh, last one. What a long flight here. Top 5 most useless types of videos? I can tell you what top 5 useless types of videos are. Is, here. Well, let's get out of this thing now, then. I'm gonna... Whoa, whoa, my parachute is on fire. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. I'm not ignoring you, Isaiah. There's a lot of people that are posting.
We did it. We sold everything. I don't think
how do you feel when the paparazzi were harassing Tobey Maguire by constantly taking photos to him? And what's the reason why the paparazzi are the worst people you see? paparazzi are just annoying people because they refuse to leave people alone, and they get involved in people's personal lives constantly. It's like basically the paparazzi is like a mob of reporters invades your personal life. That's what the paparazzi is. What the hell happened over here? Okay. What I was saying is and I'm gonna end the stream here, I guess, right now, but I'll answer another question. Person telling me top 5 useless types of videos. You know what the top 5 useless types of videos are? Clickbait, 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 and clickbait. That's pretty much what it is. And then maybe like a video following up on a clickbaiter following up on his own clickbait. That's pretty much what it is. You know, just wasting people's time, being dishonest, and you know, I personally, you know, what would you fight in the Pacific or the Eastern Front? Oh man, that's a tough one. I'd rather fight in the Pacific, probably. Yeah, probably in the Pacific. Because you know why? Because at least in the Pacific, you're gonna get to eat. That's the thing. You'll get to eat at least. In the Eastern Front, the Soviet soldiers oftentimes didn't get the chance to eat. So I'd rather, you know, honestly, I'd rather take the brutality of the Pacific because at least you get to eat. At least there's food. So there's you know, you can't fight without food. So that's okay, what I was gonna say is about clickbait is I personally despise, like, I despise when people are dishonest. When people, like, they'll constantly upload these videos, like these stupid videos. It's like, you know, GTA 6 leaks, or GTA 6 leaker says this or that or that. It's just, it's all a lie. It's all nonsense. It's just a way to get views. Like, you know, they upload a GTA 6 leak one day, and then they upload another GTA 6 leak the next day. And when they're wrong, they don't apologize. And do you know what I always found, you know, the most annoying about the clickbait is when the stupid clickbaiters, when they speculate on release dates. I hate that. I hate when they speculate on release dates. They make an 8-minute video, which is, why do you need 8 minutes to speculate on a release date of something? And also, the reason, if you guys look, all the clickbait videos have something in common. They're almost always 8 minutes long. Do you know why they're 8 minutes long? I'll tell you why they're 8 minutes long. The reason they're 8 minutes long is because as a YouTuber, when you make a video longer than 8 minutes, you can put as many ads as you want in it. When you have a video under 8 minutes, you can only put 1 ad in it. So that's why it's more than 8 minutes long, all the clickbait ones. They're dragging out the video just so that they can make it longer, so they can put more ads in it. It's what I can't stand about it. And if you notice, the way these YouTubers do it, like these YouTubers, the way they talk in their videos, you know that they're doing it to drag the video out. Because look how slow they talk oftentimes. And when they say, Grand Theft Auto Online, they say, another Grand Theft Auto Online video. They're saying that to put a few more seconds on the video. That's primarily why they're saying, to try to get over that 8-minute mark. That's ultimately what it's about. When I make a video, and my video is over 8 minutes long, I make a video because I make good content, and because my video just happened to be over 8 minutes long. I don't try to stretch a video out specifically to be 8 minutes long. I don't even clickbait. But that's specifically what they do. They do stuff like that. They say Grand Theft Auto Online and stuff, and it's just, it's annoying. And what I find so annoying is when the YouTubers try to predict something. Like, you guys remember when they were trying to predict, like, the, one moment, hang on. Okay, sorry about that, had a quick call there, but what I was saying is, you guys remember when the YouTubers, when they were speculating on the GTA 6, like, reveal, remember that? They kept speculating on the GTA 6 reveal, and they kept saying that, it's gonna come out, what was it, like October, I don't remember what it was. They were saying like October 20-something or 21st. It was something like around there. Like, this is recent. This happened recently. They were saying that it's October like 21st or 20th or something like that, and then nothing happened on that day. And then what happened was the people who watch these clickbaiters, they went to Rockstar's Twitter. And they started spamming Rockstar's Twitter, and they started saying, where's the GTA 6 reveal? Where is it? Where is it, Rockstar? You disappointed us. And then they were saying dumb things like, oh, this clickbaiter with like 2 million subscribers said that Rockstar was going to reveal GTA 6 on this day, and all of this other stuff. That's what they were saying. And the thing about it is that, look, I criticize Rockstar. When Rockstar does something stupid, I call them out. Like, when Rockstar screws over Red Dead Online, I called out Rockstar when they screwed over Red Dead Online. But the thing is, though, this is something stupid to criticize Rockstar for. Because Rockstar never, They never promised any kind of information in October, never any kind of information in November, never any kind of information in December. They never promised that there would be an update reveal. And these stupid clickbaiters kept speculating and speculating, and then they make a dumb video. They say Rockstar fans are furious that GTA 6 wasn't revealed, and it's another 8-minute video. You know, Rockstar fans, they shouldn't be furious at Rockstar. They should be furious at the clickbaiter who misled them. That's who they should be furious at. That's that's what I'll say about that. But that's what I'll say is oh yeah, I agree with you, Nick, and I'm gonna have a great video on that. But I guess that's that for this video, guys. I'll be going here, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed my, stream, do drop a like if you guys enjoyed it. If you like hanging out with me on these streams. And I'm gonna have my Acid Lab Money Guide tonight. Check in a few hours. It's gonna be late my time, and I'll upload the Acid Lab Money Guide. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.